All right, folks, welcome to What Are the Odds with Barnes and Baris. I'm one half, Rich Baris, the People's Pundit. Don't forget to like the videos if you like them and to share them far and wide. Guess what I forgot to put in the description? The TikTok. I just got a TikTok. You're damn right. And I'll tell you why I did. We just did some research on social media usage where people, well, you know what? I don't want to get into it too much because it's not really a product for everybody. It's a product for certain people. And the fact of the matter is, I gotta put my own money where my mouth is. I mean, look, it's true that a lot of older people like to use Facebook, and a lot of older people like to use the tube and everything. And YouTube still is a great place to reach people, better than most. But when it comes to younger people, where they consume news and they consume podcasts and they consume, vocal voices and punditry, I think there's a lot of people on my side, especially the more serious people, like that do seriously what I do. They don't realize that it's Instagram. It's TikTok. It just is. It is what it is, right? Unfortunately, I didn't want to get a TikTok because of Larry Ellison's attempt to shut down all critics of Israel on TikTok, because I know of it firsthand. I know exactly what their plan is. But it doesn't seem, at least right now, to even be working or viable. Plus, the ownership of other streaming platforms that shall not be named, has been tainted by other people on the same side of the debate. So, I mean, it is what it is, but I want to reach younger demographics. So People's.pundit, it's the first time I'm saying it on a show. Other people followed me. It was pretty cool. It was just like looking it up. And I see all your welcome messages, and I really appreciate it. I got some really hot shorts coming up for TikTok and Instagram really soon, which, of course, don't forget to follow Instagram. So Instagram and TikTok, I'm going to be doing a lot of shorts on YouTube. You get them already, so you know, but you should definitely sign up if you don't already. It's peoples.pundit. And then on Instagram, of course, it's peoples_pundit. Of course, you can get Barnes and I both on Locals. Mine is right there, peoplespundit.locals.com, peoplespundit.locals.com. And you can get Barnes at sportspicks.locals.com. We're 4 days away. 4 days away from the 1776 Law Center Conference, the annual conference. Speaking of which, Robert is here now, so I'm going to bring him in to talk about it. I think that's it, right, Robert? It's done deal, Dunsky, right? Or what's the situation?
Yeah, there's, I think, like 3 tickets or 4 tickets left.
Whoa!
So if you're one of the last, so if you haven't got them yet, you can go to 1776lawcenter.com and snag tickets. You're waiting to the last second because it will probably close sometime tonight.
I just had one of our favorite influencers text me and say, yo, man, that's going to be a packed house over in Chattanooga. You still got room for me? I'm like, I don't know, buddy. I'll talk to Barnes. We're always welcome to have you, but I don't know about altering and stuff. We'll see. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it a lot. This is wrapping up this poll that we're working on and a couple of other things in a couple of days. Laura and I will head on over. Look. This is what I got to say, first and foremost, okay? Because last week we did a show. I don't know if you saw my appearance on Charlie Kirk today. I got a lot of messages about it. I went scorched earth. I just did. I completely, not totally off the rails, but I like heard Charlie in my little brain saying, go Max, Rich, go Max. They screwed us. Go Max, Rich. Because I do, right up into the day he was shot. Remember that Charlie was one of our only allies, Robert. And while we successfully limited the military action that Trump took at the time, what you knew, what I knew, what Charlie knew is that this was still the wrong move, and it would ultimately lead to a kinetic war in the future anyway. Like that was going to be the opening act for a conflict that all of us knew, and a few of us, or at least a few of us were honest about it, knew would be deeply unpopular with the core group, especially millennial men and down, that we welcomed into MAGA and we need. And now I feel like I was watching in the poll before the peace poll that Trump shared. I was watching those last of the millennial men who really hung on and clinched to Trump and as long as they could, because they're thinking, well, what else? Like, he's our last chance. What other choice do I have? And we watched them that month say, I'm done. That's it. Because he started the war. It was full on. They hate Netanyahu. They can't stand Israel. and they let go. And then when the peace poll, we did the peace poll, it was like Vance's favorability goes positive. Trump's does not. Vance goes positive. Trump's approval rebounds like almost 10 points. It was like a net 8-point bounce for him, which is a big bounce, folks, especially when you're that negative at that point. So he gets that favorable bounce. Peace is overwhelmingly popular. It's very clear, as it has been in our surveys for over a year, that people are like, God, I hope Trump understands. Finally, we don't give a shit about Israel. We don't care about the Middle East. That's why you were elected. How is this all of a sudden our fault that you forgot this, you know? And we've gotten nothing out of the transaction that is an election. We got up, we voted for you, we supported you. Now we got this peace deal. Okay, maybe we got Trump back, but I felt it in my bones. I'm like, if this peace deal falls apart, this may be the last rug pull they allow him. And this poll is bad. Bro, it's bad. And the reason why it's bad is in there, man. And last week we spoke about how neocons lied about Iranian public opinion, which I still want to go. I would like to go over more. I've been reading your Substack and you're drilling it on because we threw a lot of people at once. So it was like really smart for you to do that, right? And we should bring more of this up today, or at least repeat it and explain it in more context. They lied about that, which is, guys, for the key points we'll go over. Iranians never wanted to overthrow the regime. They don't feel there's no great uprising against the mullahs. That was never going to happen. The regime is actually tempering their attitudes. Another big one, too, is that they never wanted a bomb until Operation Midnight Hammer. Now they want the bomb. For the first time ever in the history of polling Iran, a majority wants the regime to develop a nuclear weapon. They did not before. They respected the Ayatollah's fatwa, which said you can develop a nuclear program, but you can't develop a bomb. And in truth, 78% said that Islam doesn't permit. This is what all Americans, especially dumb neocons, they view all the entire Muslim world as the same thing, Robert. They really don't understand the difference between the Shia world and the Sunni world. They don't get it at all. In fact, the Shia, their sect was an ally of ours in the early days and months of the war against terror, because they understood that the Sunnis were very, very different and warned us about Wahhabism in Saudi Arabia and certain sects in that. And it's just a fascinating history and how we blew that. But now this week too, I want to they lied about everything. You know, but you got Mark Thiessen's dumbass, which after I give you your open, I'm going to go and get it. You got Mark Thiessen's dumbass now twice on Fox News saying that we should absolutely pay for $4 a gallon gasoline. And guess what? We polled it. So we're going to show you what people say. And then Ben Shapiro did the same thing. And he went on and said, we should be willing to sacrifice these Americans. Who do you think you are, Benji? Go fight then, you little pussy. Like, I'm so sick of this, Robert. He was fighting age after 9/11. Mike Cernovich is right. He was fighting age after 9/11. He's fighting age now since they raised the age. Put your little fiddle down, bro, and go fight. Go fight for the IDF if you're not loyal enough to America to go fight for America. But do you have any idea what Americans have to say about that? I'm going to show you soon. They are outraged at these comments. Man, I'll tell you what. These guys aren't. I'm going to say this, then kick it over to you. These guys just aren't out of touch, Robert. They may be more out of touch, like this element of the so-called right may be more out of touch with the American public than Democrats have ever been in my entire career in polling. They would, if majority ruled right now, they would round up Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, and Mark Thiessen, and all the rest of them, and they would kick them out of this country, bro, and send them to Israel where they love so much. They would. Americans are, and by the way, I shared this polling with the administration already, and I'll share the finished product with them. They know. So I don't know if what happened today was performative. I am hearing some stuff, but I'm going to kick it to you and go get that clip so everyone can understand before I share the polling what we're talking about. What are your opening thoughts here, brother? I mean, it's astonishing to me.
Yeah, we'll cover 3 topics today, and we'll explain why. So the one is, what is the restraint on Iran in terms of the Trump considering exit or escalation this week? Why is the Iranian public opinion a real restraint on the ability to for escalation to produce any positive outcome in a negotiated disposition favorable to the U.S., more favorable than the MOU. Explain why the Iranian public opinion is a real restraint on that at this point, as well as Trump's own actions. Second is, what is U.S. public opinion on this? The U.S. public opinion is a restraint on what Trump can functionally get away with, and what the Republicans in the Senate and the people campaigning in the Senate should be looking at. And the third, we'll look at the increasing strategy in D.C., the Trump administration, is they may not be able to hold the House, and they're forfeiting, for the most part, the probability of holding the House, but they think as long as they hold the Senate, that they can limit the scope of investigations, impeachments, legislative obstacles, etc. That they might be able to buy off the occasional Democrat in the House, and it won't be the complete stalemate, complete disaster, complete debacle because people forget Trump held the Senate in his first term. He didn't lose the Senate in 28. So he has never dealt with a situation where both the House and the Senate were aligned against him. And at a minimum, if the Senate's 50-50, you advance as a decisive vote. Even if it's 51-49, the assumption is they can get guys like Fetterman to flip over. People like Murkowski might not vote with the Democrats if it's really tight, depending on the circuit. If Collins is one of those people that's still there. So that's their belief, and that belief is heavily based on what happens this week, because Bibi Netanyahu and Zelensky are coming, and this was why we warned about the fake praise of Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham was a man bathed in blood, and he needed to be condemned at the point of his death, not celebrated, not welcomed, not rewritten, not his story retold, because the point and purpose of that was what's happening this week. The goal this week is for Bibi Netanyahu, Zelensky, and the deep state, the neocon apparatus, to use the Lindsey Graham funeral to get Trump to exit, rather than exit, but to escalate against Iran, and ideally to actually combine it with escalation against Russia. That's why Ukraine is attacking Iranian ships in the Caspian Sea that they could have only attacked if MI6 or the CIA gave them the live intelligence to do it. That's why what happens this week is big, and a big part of what enters into that is what the Trump believes would happen if he escalates against Iran, and what he, in terms of Iranians' reaction, and what he thinks will happen in the U.S. as to the Senate. He understands the economic risk continues to rise. He understands that he has to either escalate dramatically or exit because of the diminution in our munitions. Both our ability to protect our troops and our bases in the Middle East is radically diminished because it's clear that Russia and or China is giving live time satellite feeds to the Iranian military. That's how they hit that Jordan. They knew what was happening in Jordan in live time. Before, they were hitting based on prior maps, based on 5-day-old photos. Not anymore. They're hitting in live time, which means we are very restrained in terms of our efficacy, because it's not like we're right on the border. I mean, we've got to do all these things to try to build up to do a major strike, or the ground incursions all the lunatics on Fox are proposing, which would be an even bigger debacle. So to understand that, for people that are in decision-making influence within the White House, people that are in decision-making influence because they're in campaigns that are going to influence the White House's decision on this, is to explain what is Iranian public opinion actually and how that restrains Iranian reaction. And to sum it up front, basically Iranian public opinion is so hostile to any further negotiations, and so now in favor of developing nuclear weapons and using the strait as leverage and retaliating and getting revenge rather than diplomacy, that any form of escalation will backfire. It will not create the result the president wants. The other is understanding U.S. public opinion, that already this war has cost him his second term. The question is how badly it cost him his second term. Does it cost him major investigations, major impeachments, a complete stalemate in the latter half of his second term, with a hostile, not only a democratically controlled House, but a democratically controlled Senate, with a bunch of would-be presidential candidates in that Democratic Senate, particularly Ossoff, who continues to surge.
He's going to run, by the way.
In a range of prediction markets. I mean, look at how he took apart Hegseth last week. Clearly, whoever is his political staff in his campaign and his political staff on the Hill has turned up that robot into something that looks like a credible left populist. I think
he's using the left-wing me.
Yeah, he's doing it very effectively.
He's a very smart guy.
And if you've got a Democratic Senate, they're going to grandstand all they can to destroy and wreck Trump. So and we'll explain why Seth Keshel and other people's analysis of the Senate would be accurate if we were in a very different electoral environment. If this was 2018, if this was any of the prior cycles that didn't have key factors here. But right now, the Iran war is the tipping factor because of its impact politically, as Richard will go through in the latest public opinion data, and because it also impacts the economic conditions globally, which, I mean, they just the dumb decision to get Saudis to go restart the war with the Houthis. And now the Houthis have taken out critical refinery facilities. We have a refinement. Like crude oil, they can manipulate in the paper markets, but it's much more difficult to manipulate the refined products. There's limited refined capacity. Russia's not exporting a bunch of refined products. China's not exporting a bunch of refined products. Why? Because they have shortages that matter at the pump, and that's what goes into the diesel price here at home. That's what goes into the gasoline price here at home. And the Houthis taking that out. That's 7 million barrels of refinement off the table for potentially, according to current estimates, at least 4 months. And that was all the way through the midterms. So the president needs to understand, and the people around the president need to understand, and the people that have a political stake in the outcome of the midterms need to understand what is the likely outcome. And for that, understanding public opinion in Iran, understanding public opinion in the United States, and understanding the history of the Senate when these kind of issues are present in the election are critical to making the best decision.
Yeah, let's start with a recap of Iran. All right, because I did just grab a couple of other things too that I wanted to bring, but just so everybody understands, this is, and I am going to do this because once Charlie was killed, all of these neocon grifters who were cast out of MAGA, cast out of not only that, but they just lost influence with the public so badly in the Trump era, because when Trump came along, he made even Charlie, by the way, understand that, damn, this guy's right. This is who did this to us. This is why. This is who made the bad decisions. This is why they were bad decisions. And he called it at the time common sense conservatism. He's like, I'm not a neocon. I'm not this. I'm not that. And he always called neocons dummies. I got countless notes of like people tweeting stuff that I defended him with. These very neocons that he's listening to right now. And he would write like notes, Robert, like, thanks, Rich. That guy's he's got a bad, he's like, that guy's a rhino, a beep, rhino, including some of these guys who hit me on Twitter all day. If I didn't respect the president's privacy, and of course you don't do that, I would love to put some of these up so I could show them what the president really thinks of them. All right, but yet you can't discount, or you can't look away from the fact that Trump ultimately has to make these decisions himself, right? And one of the things that they lied to him about, and we went over this last week, and we have to recap this, is that the president and the White House really were waiting for this uprising, Robert. He was told that, you remember he said, if you guys do this, I'm with you. And they came to him and they said, Mr. President, you promised the Iranian people that if they rose up, that you would do what you would have their back, and that you would give the military the order to give for military strikes that would topple the regime, or at least give them a chance to topple the regime. They all are with you. They're all ready to throw off the mullahs, and that's just simply false. That's simply not true. And they used CIA back polling, which I just absolutely torched on the Charlie Kirk show earlier this week. Charlie knew that was a lie, by the way. He knew it. He thought this was insanity to even try something like this. This is the real truth. We got it. If you saw it last week, then you bear with us, all right? Because we have to show and make sure everyone understands. But also, recapping this for you isn't bad either. All right, so here it is, right, all the way up to October 2025, which was the one conducted after Operation Midnight Hammer, the fall after Midnight Hammer, which was conducted in the summer. If you could change one thing about Iran, what would that be? Would you like Iran to become? Guys, the percentage of Iranians who said more democratic and free has fallen since March of 2023 from 12.8% to post Operation Midnight Hammer 5.1. The highest number also fell, which is a bad sign for the West if you think about it, Robert. It's still the highest number. It's still a plurality and the largest plurality, obviously, but more economically prosperous was a majority, 52.8%. It was an even bigger one the following March in 2024. And then by October 2025, after Midnight Hammer, it fell, although it still was a plurality, 47.6%. More stable and orderly has been around 16, 17, reached a high in 19. It came in most recently 17%. More safe and secure increased. And it's not because they're afraid of the mullahs. It's why. Look at when it increased. It increased after the Israelis started to pursue their policy post the Hamas attack in their country, which many, even people who have defended Israel, believe to have been a gross overreaction. All right. Committing a genocide is not a legitimate response to being attacked. Many countries have been attacked in the modern nation state era, and they have not led to genocides. Others have, sure, in third world shitholes, run by dictators and totalitarians, not by the Western world. But then again, that's an entirely different debate. That's probably because Israel is not part of the Western world, but we can get into that another day. Other is 2% and has been 1 to 2%. My point is, or 1 to 3, but it's 2 in the latest. My point is, Robert, this claim that Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin and how many others, like countless other neocons who are very clearly ethno-religious supremacists, by the way, let's just call it what it is. And then the neocons like Mark Thiessen, this was not true. And in fact, guys, you could do a quick search right now and you will see Gallup didn't show that it was true. Pew Research didn't show that it was true. The University of Maryland, who has probably the longest track record on the pertinent questions we're talking about here, didn't show it was true. They pushed this firm, Gammon, Gamaan, which is a CIA-tied, USAID-tied, deep state, nation-state building, neocon war whore, think tank-tied, fake polling firm, which has been outed now as a CIA a key element of a CIA operation to convince the West that there is this anti-regime, more secular element of the public that is a growing majority, and they want the mullahs gone, and they live under what they perceive to be tyranny. It's not true, Robert. It's not true.
Yeah, the degree to which there was such a population in Iran, they left a long time ago, left after the fall of the Shah in the 80s. And what you have and what you could see from this was once there were kinetic attacks on Iran, you could see the reaction on the public opinion. The first, the Israeli attacks in October of 2024, then the U.S. attacks in the summer of 2025. With that, you could see the shift of the public was away from changing their government and towards safety and security. That they were going to respond with nationalism. They were going to respond with wanting to be a stronger military power. So, and you can assume, very based on this trend in the data, that now, if they did a survey, it's going to be massively shifted. And there's people that have been on the ground there, Western investigative reporters and journalists and commentators that have heard it all the way through the massive funeral gathering, the biggest single event gathering in the history of humanity for the death of the Ayatollah and his 4-year-old granddaughter. It was her casket that was front and center in all of these public funerals, also celebrated by the Shia populations in Iraq, I would add. That now the country, their focal point of public opinion is going to be safety and security. And we see in the other data, we see 3 other things. We see that they believed it was a mistake to not respond.
Here we go. Let's do it.
And we'll show how they think diplomacy is an error and the A-bomb is correct. That their interpretation of we want to be safe and secure, which was already trending before this set of attacks, is now likely the majority opinion in Iran, and that they consider the failure to respond kinetically, militarily, a mistake. There's this, this discussion on Fox, other places. There's a gap between the pragmatists and the hardliners within the Iranian government. No, it's the actually people like Ariachi are the pragmatists. The whole population are hardline.
Yeah,
the whole population doesn't want a deal. The population booed the Iranian president at one of the events in the funeral procession because he was associated with cutting a deal.
Yep.
So what this means is they're deeply restrained in their Iranian public opinion as to what their Iranian leaders can even do. And now they believe that they should expand their nuclear activities. They also think, for the first time ever, a majority no longer believe it's against Islam to get the bomb.
Oh, I got to get that one. I forgot.
And a majority in October of 2025, before these set of attacks in Iran, the majority of the Iranian public wanted Iran to develop a nuclear bomb. So they even when the Ayatollah was alive, they were no longer respecting the fatwa. So it went from, and again, before all this started, back at the time of the JCPOA, the only 12% thought Islam didn't. It was a 6-1 margin. They said, you're absolutely right. We cannot develop a bomb. It's against our Shia religious beliefs. That was less than a majority by October of 2025.
Yeah.
And the people said, do you think we should develop an atomic bomb? A majority said yes in October of 2025.
There it is. This is the big one, bro. This is the big one. Like, guys, if you correlate those dates, you will see they were respecting the Ayatollah's fatwa, as some of the attacks, especially the 24 attack by Israel on Iran. And by the way, you have to put it in context, Robert. The Trump administration is trying to negotiate, and they send a missile into that hotel in Doha. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is the Israelis. So it wasn't just the attack on Iran, which of course it was, but it was the Israelis constantly assassinating negotiators that were talking with the U.S. administration behind closed doors when many people didn't even know what was going on. So, but that is news in Iran. That's not unknown in the U.S. the way, because unlike in the U.S., there is no largely Zionist control over mainstream media. Like, that's like, both on the left and the right. Like, CBS News isn't going to hide this in Iran because there isn't a CBS News. That's not what they're listening to. Look at it. I mean, honestly, even with 71% at that time saying Islam doesn't permit a nuclear weapon, they're still concerned about their safety and their security. And you have about a third, a little over, in July of 22 saying we should develop both atomic weapons and nuclear power. But it really, it crosses in October of 2024, because of course that is a direct result of Israel attacking them, although it doesn't get to a majority yet. By October 2025, after Operation Midnight Hammer, it's for the first time ever a majority. So what Robert and I are trying to tell you guys is that there was a point where Obama could get the terms of the JCPOA. All right. And Trump got rid of it. I got to tell you, I didn't even support it back then. But then again, I didn't understand this as much as I understand this now. And now that I'm looking back at it, I'm calling J.D. Vance like the Helen Keller miracle worker. It's amazing he got the terms of the MOU that he did, because the regime, which is getting pounded right now, their population is getting pounded, and yet the population doesn't want them to submit. What do you think that number is now?
Exactly. When you look at this trend, you can like if they did a survey now, it is likely by 2-1 margins. The Iranian public wants them to develop a nuclear bomb. So what that means is they don't want diplomacy. They want a kinetic response. They want a nuclear bomb because they see it as the key to their safety and security and deterrence, which is now likely the top issue in the Iranian public, which is what everybody heard when they were there on the ground because the Iranian government invited in a bunch of Western commentators and journalists to cover. And which that should tell you right away, okay, if the public is against what they're doing, you're not going to invite a bunch of Western journalists in to just wander wherever they want and talk to whomever they want. The fact, they were inviting CBS, NBC, other people in. It's because they know this.
They're confident that when those journalists walk around, they're not going to find support for their stupid, phony little narrative. Maybe you can try, but it's going to be harder than ever. Here's another thing that I think is important, guys. This is October 2025 after Operation Midnight Hammer. You have to understand that you were duped. A lot of Trump supporters were being fed lies from the White House before Operation Midnight Hammer. But again, Charlie knew, I know Poso had an inkling, and you knew, obviously, but the Iranians, without any connection to the Western world, understood that Trump was buying time and just being full of shit. Pardon my French. He wasn't negotiating in good faith, which we now find out he really wasn't. All right. He always had something on his mind. Thank God for Charlie, because he was effective in a way that many of us just couldn't be. Even me, as a public opinion pollster, just saying, like, look, this is the data. This is how you put together your coalition. If you do this, a 30-year coalition is gone. Again, it may be the biggest tweet I've ever had. It got covered by every major media outlet. I said, if Trump pulls the trigger, kiss the Republican majorities goodbye, and MAGA is dead. And it got covered by every major media outlet. Trump's favorite pollster warns him not to attack Iran. And guess who didn't cover it? Fox News. Fox News was everybody else covered it, Robert, except for Fox News.
Yeah, so this is basically overwhelmingly by October of 2025.
Yeah,
the Iranian public had lost all confidence in Trump's ability or intent, good faith intent to negotiate a deal. They saw him as a liar, as a fraud, as someone who was just preparing to, to destroy them by 75 to 21 margins. And that's much worse now. After that, we did the MOU under much complaint in Iran that deal was signed, and then Trump rug pulled it again. So now that to the degree Trump thinks he can just go back to the MOU, that's not going to happen. To the degree he thinks he can escalate to get them to agree to the MOU or more limited terms, that's not going to happen. That's why he has really two choices at this point in the build-up to the midterms. Escalate or exit. Escalation will not produce capitulation from Iran. It will increase the risk that Iran develops nuclear weapons. All these, the sort of boomer cons that run around saying, well, I guess you want Iran to have nuclear weapons. No. If you want Iran to have nuclear weapons, keep bombing Iran. That's how you're going to get a nuclear-armed Iran. Iran's restraint was never its technical capacity. Iran's restraint was its religious imposition and its public opinion supporting that religious imposition. It no longer is present. The Ayatollah that issued that fatwa, we murdered. The actual moderates of the Iranian regime, we murdered. Yeah, these are much hardliner groups that, even if they wanted to be, they are now publicly restrained. They cannot go back to the MOU. They cannot go back to anything that looks like it. They have to focus on the safety and security of their public, which is demanding they have deterrence. The best way you can prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons is to exit this conflict, not escalate this conflict. And does that mean we have to capitulate on the Strait? Fine. Because as long as Iran thinks that the Strait is a sufficient tool of leverage, they don't need to develop nuclear weapons. It's another who cares? Turkey's controlled the Straits of Darnell for over 90 years. They've been charging their own version of a toll for forever, ever since we signed that Montreux Convention in 1936. So the idea that we have to control this for the petrodollar or something else is a bunch of hogwash. And that ship has sailed anyway. I was just going to say that. In truth, Robert, the bottom line is, for people who say, but Rich, they'll control the Strait, but Rich, the Iranians don't abide by their agreements, but Rich, my answer is very simple. Tough shit. There are consequences for your poor decisions. That's the way the world works. Don't we teach our children this when they're growing up? There are consequences for your poor decision making. That is the way of the world. Unless, like we said last week, we do have another option. Exterminate them. Is that what you're seriously arguing?
I mean, it's just, and by the way, there are people doing it. Mark Levin, I'm not even putting that crazy son of a bitch's tweet up. He literally implied that Israel, if we leave them to fend for themselves, that Israel will use nuclear weapons. It's right there. Go look at Glenn Greenwald commenting on it. He's crazy, but those are your only two choices. It's unfortunate, folks, but guess what? The Strait was open before the Trump administration and the neocons decided to start this foolish, stupid war. It is what it is. In a minute, we'll get into American public opinion. You don't have the strength to do this. You don't.
And that's so escalation cannot achieve what you want in terms of Iran because of Iranian public opinion wanting safety and security and seeing their safety and security and deterrence and seeing their safety and security and fighting back and seeing their safety and security and controlling the Strait and developing nuclear weapons. That's where they are at. You're not going to change that. You had an opportunity. Vance did an exceptional deal because he recognized the strength of Iranian desire to improve economic prosperity, and he was able to convince the Iranian leadership that Trump would deliver. Trump didn't deliver. He rug pulled it quickly. They're never going to go back to it since they distrusted Trump already before this war started. Now that's why you got posters everywhere of Trump, revenge against Trump.
You see these?
He's persona non grata. The getting another deal is not practical and not achievable. Getting the capitulation is absolutely not practicable or achievable. It means escalation because of Iranian public opinion is not going to produce the outcome Trump wants. Now we should flip to the other side. The other problem with escalation is the utter disaster it will continue to pose to U.S. public opinion, to the Republican hopes to hold the Senate in the upcoming fall, which people like Seth and others are just pretending don't exist. This is the problem. I mean, aside from we have the Epstein scandal, which is a major problem, but the perception that he has abandoned a lot of his core promises to big parts of his base is already a big problem. But this can put it over the edge into nightmare scenario where you get 50. Not only you lose the Senate, but you lose it badly. You not only lose the House, but you lose it badly. As people have been doing the analysis, Democrats can win more House seats in this cycle than they did in 2018 with the same margins because that analysis has been done. So it's how bad do you lose the House, and especially do you lose the Senate? How badly do you lose the Senate? Because again, if Collins goes down, Murkowski flips sides, and if you are at 52, 53, 54, 55, then Fetterman's vote doesn't matter. And Fetterman likely will play ball with the Democrats in that context anyway. So all of a sudden Trump faces something he hasn't faced, which is an overtly, openly, publicly hostile Senate with a bunch of would-be presidential candidates who will crush any legislative agenda he could possibly hope for and will subject him to interrogation, and investigation, and impeachment one after the other until they get his head on a public stake. And that's what's at risk. If the Trump president goes back in, they still have a chance to limit it's very close in a lot of these Senate seats. They still have a chance if they can get out because Iran is unique at the issue it presents in terms of a sense of betrayal in his base and because of the economic consequences. In other words, if you know Iran is not going to capitulate, that means they're going to resist. And if they resist, what does that mean? It means oil and gas prices higher, helium going into semiconductor prices higher. It means the fertilizer that's unavailable for the global world, which is going to impact sooner or later, even in U.S. markets. It means the gas price at the pump is higher. It means the diesel price that goes into literally everything because it's our key mechanism of shipping goods across the country goes higher. So it means everything gets more expensive on one of his big issues. He might want to call it a hoax. I guess he forgot he ran on it in 2024 about affordability. I'm going to get your gas lower than $3. I'm going to get your food prices down. I'm going to make life affordable again, like I did in the first term pre-COVID. And all of that is because escalation brings the economic problems, not just the direct political problems, indirect political problems. If he goes back in and escalates this week, which is they're planning on using Graham's funeral for this precise purpose. That's why they're making a big deal of Graham's funeral, putting it in D.C. That's why they were retelling that narrative about Graham and the buildup after his death. He was really a great patriot, really a good American. There are people who are very mad at me when I said, look, I'm not going to celebrate a guy. And I welcome the death of someone who is literally bathed in blood. That's just, but I also could see this coming. that they were rewriting that. And so do it for Lindsey Graham, do it for him, do it, you know, the one last go, one last try. They want to bring in Russia as part of the process by putting the 500% sanctions on India and China that would drag us further in. That's why Ukraine's hitting. So that's why it's so consequential. And the U.S. public opinion is not behind any degree of escalation at all. They want exit. They want exit now. And that includes Trump's own voter base.
Yeah, I want to just, because there's a couple of things people have said that are relevant to this poll that I feel like I need to tee up, because these people have to be held accountable for getting us into this mess. It's not even a mess. It's a catastrophe where we are right now. But it's also worth holding people accountable for what they said, literally, of Charlie, the day before Charlie was killed, and now where we are. All right. Because one of these people that I'm going to showcase in a second said something the day before Charlie died. And he said it on the show died. The day before Charlie was murdered in broad daylight, he said something on Mark Levin's show on Life, Liberty, and Levin. And I want to play it now because this is a guy who's arguing that Americans should basically shut up, Goyslop, shut up and suck up the deaths. Like, you should be willing to sacrifice your young men and your young women for my favorite country. Like, you know, even though this was incredibly stupid of you to do it. And there's a reason why. The whole entire ideology is built on free riding the U.S. into an oblivion so that he can get what he wants as a result. And for those of you who follow certain things, you probably know what I'm talking about. But here they are. This is about Charlie. Again, these are all these people who claim to, know Charlie, love Charlie, we were friends, his legacy. This is what he said the day before.
Do you think there's enough of an effort to push back? I find that conservative groups and conservative organizations that have these weekend events and these seminars, whether they're for young people or think tanks or that sort of thing, they sort of sprinkle these events with these kooks. They sprinkle these events with these American haters who claim to be American firsters and are fake MAGA and even stab the president.
It's America first, you stupid phony, not American first. America first.
In the back.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely an attempt by some of these organizations to, quote unquote, maintain the big tent. But the reality is that, as many have said, the problem with a big tent is that you may end up with many, many clowns inside. And the most fundamental thing is that just because you're saying somebody votes Republican, that does not mean that they ought to be the preacher at the front of the church. They're not the person who ought to be leading the movement if they are spending all day criticizing the president of the United States as covering up a Mossad rape ring or being a tool of the Israelis for hitting an Iranian nuclear facility, a thing he has said literally his entire career that he was going to do. And so it seems to me that if we are to hold anything in sort of reverence, it ought to be the fundamental tenets of the American Republic, which I believe to reside in conservative organizations are simply going to give up the ghost on that in order to maintain a sort of pseudo coalition. That is a gigantic moral and political mistake.
Okay, hold on, because I can't take the sound of his voice, Robert. I legit can't take the sound of his voice. He makes me sick to my stomach. All right, it's just, and it bothers my ears. Like, bro, when are your balls going to drop? Okay, look, number one, he's attacking Charlie. They were talking about Charlie, and they're talking about TPUSA. Number two, it's funny, because you can't be a leader of a movement either, or a coalition either, if you're demanding it be limited and you're the minority. Okay, this is what Israel First never understood. You're the minority. We're letting you into our tent. That's what you never understood. Charlie didn't build a coalition for you. Charlie, who I spoke to about all this all the time, he never sat around and said, gee, how can I, attract more Israel firsters? He didn't call me up and say, Rich, are there enough neocons in our coalition to win this election? He understood they were dead and dying. He wanted to know about young people, black people, all people. He couldn't stand people who advocated for, and I mean, can't stand, but he couldn't say, because I don't think he couldn't stand anybody, but he's just one of those good guys, folks, but not like me, where I legit am starting to hate people. Okay. It's just, which I'm praying to the Lord to help me with. But when you look at two obnoxious, arrogant SOBs like that, who do they think they are? The fact of the matter is, he'll go on to say Charlie is wrong, not only for that, but hosting all of these idiots, and he himself with his ideas that a limited airstrike is going to turn into a full-blown regime change. Well, guess what? It did. It did turn into a full-blown regime change. All right. Now we can get into public opinion on that, but I just want your thoughts on that, because you can't let people get away with this stuff, Robert. You can't. They have to be held
no doubt. And it's part of the big campaign that's going to take place tomorrow.
Yep.
To pressure the president to go back. And if we go back just to last weekend.
Yep.
So you were up at Bedminster, made the rounds. What happened? On Monday, the White House puts up that the memorandum of understanding, the peace deal, was actually very popular. You dig into that popularity amongst Republicans and Trump voter base, it was intensely popular. It was a 74% approval rate, contrary to what the Israel lobby advocates were out there doing and trying to sabotage the MOU and the various campaigns against J.D. Vance that relaunched because of that.
That's right.
So there are people that, look at how he said nice things about Bernie Sanders in 2019 and all that kind of nonsense.
Oh, God.
All of those, the reason for that was, but it clearly got into Trump's head. And even though Trump spent the rest of the week, because before last weekend, he was just going to go in and escalate big time. Then, including the possibility of troops on the ground at some level, including trying to hit mass civilian infrastructure, including all of this. So it's important to put context in the effectiveness of Vance finally getting Kane and Cooper to step up and talk about our munitions limitations was the immediate preceding cause for Trump to step down this weekend and step back this weekend. But it wasn't the only cause. It was the underlying economic and public opinion data that's why he shared it when we shared it on Monday in the White House.
Which was our poll.
Yeah, it was your poll showing that the MOU is very popular. Why share that while you're not obeying the MOU? Unless you're thinking, maybe I should just go back to it. That's part of the reason for this show is to remind those people in decision-making areas of influence that you can't escalate successfully to get Iran to change based on Iranian public opinion. But you're also at a disastrous. The MOU was intensely popular, especially with the Republican and Trump base, and then. Now look at where the survey data is since he went back in, and it's basically pulling the floor out, and they're on the verge of rebranding the Republican Party back to something that was like Bush 06, but worse.
I think honestly, I got to say, Robert, I think we're there. I think Tucker and Elon. And people ask me, it's maybe the number one question I get. Like, Rich, is it time for a third party? It may be the number one question I get. The brand damage is so bad. I'm on the verge of saying it's permanent, and Tucker and Elon are right. And the Republican Party needs to be destroyed, even if it requires running somebody who won't win, but will take more than Ross Perot did, like in the 30s. And then leave Republicans with like 15% if they're lucky. And yes, it will lead likely, almost certainly, to a Democratic president. But you're going to lose anyway at this point. And I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. And I'll give you a bit of a spoiler already. MAGA single digits. The actual percentage of people who say I'm still MAGA doesn't look anything like it did in November 2024 as far as who says it. And the percentage is in single digits. And the reason why is because we'll ask whether you're America First or MAGA if you're a Republican. And then we'll split off and say, okay, which one is it? America First drills MAGA. MAGA is basically 40. Okay. Republicans are now down to 30% after winning in November 2024 with 40% party ID. 40% of the electorate said, I'm a Republican. Half of that said that they were America First or MAGA. All right. Now it's 30% of that. I think traditional Republican is going to beat them this month, Robert. It isn't over yet, but it's about 45%. So 45% of 30% is what, guys? It's about 13, roughly ballpark. All right. We'll round here for the sake of argument. And among that, America First MAGA being 45% of 30, so 13, only about 40 or 45% say that they're actually MAGA still. All right. So That's 5.85%. Okay, just so everybody understands. America First is about 7.2. You put them together, it's about 13%, you know? That's abysmal. That is down almost half. I mean, that's a shrinkage of 33% almost, because it was 20. All right, so it was half of 40. So now this is where we're at. It's a gross destruction of a coalition, but we shouldn't be surprised, because that's what neocons do. They don't build anything. They don't create anything. Their ideology worships destruction. They are called nation builders, but have you ever actually seen them successfully nation build anywhere for anybody? No. They destroy nations. They destroy the human lives that make up those nations. They destroy, not most importantly, but it matters, because you can't do anything for those people if you don't win, right? And you don't affect good policy. They destroy coalitions. I've had entire shows on the history of neoconservatism. It's why they've been excommunicated from the Democratic Party, because they were Democrats, by the way. They were big government statist communists. Billy Crystal's daddy was a Trotskyite. That's who Mark Levin worshiped. That's who Bill Crystal worshiped. That's who Charles Krauthammer and George Will, that's who these guys worshiped. And he acts like he was some bigwig in the Justice Department in the Reagan administration. He was a nobody at the Justice Department. And Ronald Reagan let him in because Ronald Reagan believed, like Charlie, in a big tent. He didn't give them the power, but he believed in big tent politics, unlike Ben Shapiro and unlike Mark Levin, which is why the last time we saw a presidential election get ended as quickly as Donald Trump ended Kamala Harris was when they ran their guy Mitt Romney in 2012, and we were all home at 11:30 because it was over so quickly. All right, now let's look at this. And before I
give
go
people
to the gas
some
one,
historical context of this. So when you see MAGA self-identified MAGA Republicans have high approval of Trump, or the Republican Party has high approval, it's because his base has shrunk so much. In other words, the people that so what used to happen is when it was Biden, when it was Obama, when it was even George W. Bush, when it was Bill Clinton, the people that disapproved of him didn't leave the party, didn't reject the party identification. So they stayed. So when he was when those people were in the 70s, it was because people had stayed within the party. Now what's happening is people are so deeply unhappy with where Trump is at that it's not a realignment, it's a disalignment.
Yeah.
So because they're not yet realigning to the Democratic Party, they're disaligning from the Republican Party, disaligning from MAGA self-identification. And to give you an idea, the only time in polling history, this is, you could argue historically broader time periods, but when we have polling data that this has happened, is only the 1930s. You haven't seen this degree of disalignment in American political history in such a short time period, that it hasn't happened within 2 years. You lose a third of your voter base, or particularly here, Trump's true voter base, OG MAGA, half gone, no longer identifying with his cause, identifying with his party, identifying with his brand. I mean, this is unprecedented. This is what people like Seth and others are in fantasy land about, pretending there's no change in Hispanic votes, no change in rural Midwest votes. No, you look at the Pew data, massive fall off between November of 2024.
John's polls to pretend like you have an argument. Those are paid for PAC polls. They're fake. They're not real. And by the way, soon a lot of you are going to get burned when certain reports come out. And those a few of us who know about it or only do because we were the few who resisted and we were the few who refused to take money to do the same damn thing. Otherwise, had I been a lesser man, I'd be putting up fake polls on my screen right now to dupe you with and raking in money hand and fist to do. All right. But that's not the job of a pollster. And I plan on living a long life, you know.
Basically, the only people that have stuck with Trump have been evangelical Southerners that are over the age of 50. And everybody else is completely, and the Pew data confirms it, a wide range, Emerson's data confirms it, a range of pollsters. The Pew data has voter-validated surveys. There's a 20-point drop-off amongst Hispanics. There's a 15-point drop-off amongst non-Hispanic Catholics, white Catholics. There's a 20-point drop-off amongst rural, non-college whites in places like the Midwest.
Which is why this is happening. What is up on the screen right now This is why, Robert, you and I told them this was going to happen last year if they did this. And just so people don't understand what this is, interactive polls, he put up a series. I just grabbed one. He put up a series of tweets basically summarizing a Washington Post report, which also mirrors a Reuters report that came out not long ago in Iowa. They've been tracking a certain group of Trump voters in Iowa. And there's also obviously several reports from Axios, which is a Republican insider saying there's a 5-alarm fire, we're going to get creamed. And if you go through this, they say this is a big chunk. About 1 in 5 reliable, this is the key, reliable Republican-based voters are at risk in November. They may stay home or vote Dem across Iowa. Wait, I thought that couldn't possibly happen, Robert. Ohio? No, Trump won that by 13.5, even though you and I told all these other people, we're name dropping, that Bernie Moreno only won it by 3.5 against the guy who's running now. With Trump on the ballot, dummies. North Carolina, and that's my state. It's gone. You think that makes me happy to say? We're going to get creamed here, which is why I'm probably going to run for governor in it next time around. Montana, New Hampshire, and Michigan. I mean, the idea they even think they're competitive in New Hampshire and Michigan makes me just chuckle. You have zero chance, but you don't have zero. We ran the modeling the other day. Republicans, Mike Rogers, even against Ayad Salid, El Said, has a 21% chance of winning in Michigan. That's it. All right. He underperformed Trump in Oakland County. He's never going to get these voters out in Saginaw, in Macomb, in Monroe to be able to offset the ass kicking that he's going to get in Wayne and all over, all over the southern counties that, obviously southeastern Michigan is tough. Only Trump performed well there because he got the very voters out that Robert's talking about. But here's the kicker. 1 in 5 they're talking about because it's a midterm and that's their reliable base. That wasn't their challenge to begin with, Robert. As I said, on election night in 2024, from John Solomon to Newsmax to Bannon to our own show, everywhere, your challenge as the Republican Party was to convince the low prop millennials that Trump got, and that is how he won easily, to turn them into midterm voters because the nature of the realignment is such that look at how you underperformed in 22. That's because of the realignment, because Democrats have higher prop voters who are more reliable and easier to turn out even when they're unhappy and even when they're pissed off and disaffected as they were at Biden. That's why you underperformed, along with sabotage, in 2022. And you think you're going to roll in at 26 and just somehow buck the trend because you what? Because you gerrymandered? Here's the kicker about this. I'm so happy, and I can't believe I got to agree with the crystal ball, bro. But this is the world we live in. We've run these. I've showed you simulator after simulator and simulation after simulation. You can't prevent a wave. There is a practical limit to gerrymandering, as Mark Mitchell and I were talking about earlier this morning. This is what Kyle Condon said, and then I'm going to repeat it before we get into the public opinion. New crystal ball, which is the new poll, guys. Just be patient. Well, the House map is better for ours than 2024's was. It's not really better than 2018's was. Compared to 2018, this year's House map has a medium seat that isn't as are, fewer seats that voted right of the nation, and a similar number of plausible D targets. Here's the trick. Here's the deceptive part about these two maps. In analyzing these two maps and using 6 different simulations to do it, this is what we found. Republicans could hold the House if they lose the generic ballot by like 4, possibly, but like 3-2, they could hold the House. The problem is that's not really where the generic ballot is, and both parties know it. The tightening is fake. All right. The second thing is what Kyle's trying to explain is that once you get to a certain margin in the national vote, some of these seats that are being rated as leans likely, right? Even one I can pick out on Cook right now that they even have as safe. That is not safe. Is it likely to be a Republican seat? Yes, but it's not a safe seat. But the likelies and leans, once you get above D plus 6, everything starts to fall. And what they didn't calculate in their jerrying, we talked about a lot. Texas is a great example. You're jerrying using Trump's benchmarks from 2024. You underperformed Trump's benchmark. So anything that is like Trump plus 13 or down is in jeopardy. And if Democrats win by 6 or more, like some of the generic ballot, our generic ballot will be like Emerson's. All right. It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. It will be a double-digit likely lead for Democrats when I'm done waiting. All right. That's it. What is it called? Like not a dam, the ramparts, bro, they fail. Like that's it. They break, the dam breaks, the water comes flooding in, and it's over. It can buttress you only so much. And that so much is roughly D+4. Kyle is right. Once you get beyond that, we're seeing it with 20-point shifts in non-college whites. That's how it happens. Something like that is how it happens. Once that happens, it's a wrap, guys. It's a wrap, and you will see seats fall that you never thought. Like, by the way, Kentucky 5 in 2018. Nobody saw what's her name nearly winning that seat because the levees, that's the word I'm looking for. The levees just broke, bro. They failed, and everything started to pour in, and we just got wiped. Unfortunately for Republicans, there is another difference between 2018 and now, several. But one of them is, despite the betrayal on healthcare, the economy was still red hot. And there was a feeling still among Trump's base that we don't want him removed, so we're going to go out and save him. So we defeat Bill Nelson, and Rick Scott beats Bill Nelson in Florida. Neither of those are present in this electorate. There is a substantial, when you add the 1 in 5 with the low props, you're looking at about 35% of Trump's 2024 coalition. They don't have that, Robert. It's not there. Like, they are pissed at Trump. They're friggin' mad. They never liked Republicans to begin with, really, but they're pissed at Trump. And a lot of them say, I don't care if he gets removed. Many of them, I can show you one guy. In fact, I am going to upload it when I turn it over to you, because I do want to show it to people. Some flatly say, I don't know, I think I might vote Democrat because I want him removed. Like, we never heard this in 18. This was not something that was prevalent. And again, the economy sucks now compared to 18 when it was red hot. And there's a perception that the administration doesn't give a beep, so like, this is what these other guys aren't understanding. And I'm just going to get that clip and then play this idiot. Oh, I can wait for the idiot until we get to that question. But yeah, what do you have to add to that before I grab this? Because I want to show this to you.
Yeah, so there's two different factors. One is that the 2026 map from a House perspective is worse than the 2018 map. And similarly with the Senate, it is not nearly as invulnerable because of where these seats are. Yeah, so they're perceived as very pro-Trump suites. But, like, for example, let's say you only had D+6. You had an 8-point reversal, give or take, from where Pew was, from where Trump's 2024 vote was. Yeah. The problem is that, aside from what Richard's mentioning, the turnout problem, that a lot of the low that will disproportionately favor high-propensity Democrats against low-propensity Republicans, and the base disalignment, is that it's not going to be even. You're not going to see every district swing 8 points. The older conservative evangelical seats, the Mormon seats, a lot of those might not budge much at all. That's right. But the the heavily Hispanic seats in Florida, in Texas, in Arizona, in Nevada, in parts of
Georgia, where we've seen a lot of the older population die. There's no nice way to say it, guys.
Yeah, correct.
The 65 plus category in 2018 doesn't look anything like the 65 plus.
Oh no, the silent generation is mostly gone, and they actually held up some Republican support in 2018. And so if you look at you're going to have and then it's the Hispanic vote, young black male vote, and the rural, which is going to impact the South in places like North Carolina and Georgia, in parts of Florida and other seats. And then you're gonna get really hammered amongst the rural and industrial Midwest. That's where he's also falling off amongst non-Hispanic and Hispanic Catholics, but non-Hispanic Catholics as well. And so that's concentrated in the industrial Midwest. And then the rural areas, and it's rural voters who either identify as Catholic or identify as nothing in particular. In other words, they're religious, but they don't identify with the church. Those groups, the drop off from 2024 is double digits or up to 20 plus points. And so what does that mean? It means in places like Iowa, you're going to have bigger swings. In places like Ohio and Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, in places like northern Maine, where they still think LePage can hold on. And I get why, he's been popular up there in the past. But I think
I like Paul, but
what happens is, like, I remember one of my first ever election cycles was 1994. And I knew Senator Jim Sasser, knew his son in Tennessee. He was an old school, moderate to left-leaning Democratic populist. He had won with ease in 1988, a year where Poppy Bush swept Tennessee by huge margins. Sasser still won with ease. He was much more well-liked than Bill Frist, who he was running against in 1994, who was kind of an elite prick from the Bellmead, literally the richest area in the whole state was where the guy was from. So on paper, I remember talking to local Democrats, like, Sasser's not going to lose to that guy. And then Sasser got crushed. That's what happens when you get these sort of, 94 was a disalignment election where a bunch of old school ancestral evangelical Democrats in the South and the border South bolted a down ballot to vote Republican. We're seeing disalignment is present, as well as war, as well as scandal with the Epstein, as well as economic problems on affordability. I mean, Trump is at the lowest numbers of any president on some economic numbers, of any president
it's
ever.
Horrible. I'll show you. It's horrible.
And he's running around talking about a golden age. You couldn't have a bigger disconnect. And all of that gets far worse. It goes right off the cliff if he goes back in and escalates this week with Iran. It is. If he goes back and escalates, you can put a fork in it, like Neil Young would sing. It's cooked.
I may not even, honestly, Robert, I may not even poll if he does, because I'm just throwing good money out the window when I could tell you without polling what's going to happen. What I'm showing here, guys, is important because this is showing you that Republican coalition was getting less young as time was going on until Trump came around, even though they were making some inroads with certain voters, which is in the same study I pulled this from. But overall, again, 30 to 49 is a millennial overlap generation. It's really 30 to 45 now, but it's a millennial overlap. You'll see that Republicans, once upon a time, as Andrew said earlier in my interview today, it was generally a swing vote until Republicans threw it away with stupidity like they did this time. And then Trump came around and won them back and got a good amount of low props that quit the electorate to come out and support him. Those are the voters they needed to target and marry like they were chasing skirt, bro. Like, should have been their number one priority. Like a teenage boy chasing skirt. They should have been chasing and not just chasing, but like, wooing these voters, catering to them, not the stupid Ben Shapiros of the world and the dumb Martisans who represent what you're seeing right there, an older dying block. It's not even a coalition itself, a dying voting block that is actually getting more Democratic. Look, older voters are getting more Democratic because as more boomer twos phase out, and they are because they're as old as 80, as they more phase out, boomer ones, boomer twos, which is the Jones boomer, it's a much more liberal boomer, it phases in and becomes the higher propensity vote, the highest propensity vote. And this is why Trump actually did worse in 24 with 65 plus than he did in 2020. He won by winning more millennials and down. And yes, of course, you romp with Gen Z. But again, the Gen Z is going to be important as well. It's just that millennials are the largest, and you never know when they're going to decide to flex their muscle, man. And when they do, you will be wiped out. It will be ugly. In 2017, millennials became the largest share of the electorate as a share of the voting eligible population, or I would say they are the largest share of the voting eligible population. They're not the largest share of the electorate because they don't vote like boomers vote. But when they do, it will be over for it's the entire point, by the way, of Burn It Down, which of course, guys, you should go and pre-order right now. I forgot to even say that. The link is in the description. I forgot to say that in the open. Okay, let's get into the survey, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay. First,
surely there's tons of people that can't wait to pay $5 a gallon for gas to support this great noble war in Iran. That Fox News tells me it's just. They can't wait. People are, they're eager. This is what they'll be pitched to the president this week at the Lindsey Graham funeral. There's a reason they're holding it in D.C. There'd be almost no attendance if it was held in South Carolina and held in his own hometown.
They should have just held it in Tel Aviv, bro, if they wanted a real turnout.
That's why Zelensky and Bibi are coming. Those are the big foreign leaders coming for this. But the pitch is that the going back in, he's got to do it that will rally the base behind him. What does the data show?
All right. So first and foremost, I want to preface this. We'll get into the gas question in a second, and I got a funny little clip I want to show you. But because we polled it, because people made this suggestion, but I want to preface the results with an individual response, and it was one of the first ones that the AI flagged me. I was on book club when it was happening yesterday, when this person was being interviewed, and I looked at his demographics, and I'll give them to you, in short order here, but I can tell you he's from Pennsylvania. And he is a lower prop, not he's 2 out of 4, but a Trump voter. Okay. And I'm going right to the elaborated response, even though you will see some of his other responses because they're logged here and I screenshotted it. But I wanted you guys to hear in his own words why he said what he said. And I will say this. This is what oops, that's the wrong one. My bad. This is what we ask people. All right. Can you elaborate? Oh, let me move you and me. Can you elaborate on your responses given to the question so far? Meaning, why did you choose the answers you did? It's very simple. And we get through everything. What did they, Trump's approval, the generic ballot. We have the registered voter economic confidence index for the quarter in this survey because it's a quarterly metric we do. And then, of course, the Iran situation and foreign wars in the Middle East. You can see that section there as well. Let's go through this first. Do you support or oppose reopening negotiations to the Iran war? There is prompts. I probably should read those prompts so I don't get any shit from people about how they think a question is. We do prompt people and say, that there was the MOU and the president signed it on such and such a date. It didn't hold, so fighting recommenced on almost a month to the day later. But it's next we'd like to ask a few questions about the Iran war. In June, the administration announced a peace deal to end the war with Iran. The memorandum of understanding, the MOU, signed by the president on June 17th did not hold, and fighting with Iran recommenced on July 18th. Just boom, laying it out. Do you support or oppose reopening negotiations to end the Iran war? Strongly support. Do you think it is worth paying $4 per gallon or higher for gas to continue fighting the Iran war? No, not worth paying. Which will show you the raw for all of this soon, guys. How much per gallon would you be willing to pay for gas as a result of continuing to fight the Iran war? And Robert, we give people $3 per gallon, which is where it was before. And there's a prompt for that question too. The AAA national average for gas prices before the Iran war was roughly $3 per gallon, with the average about $2.98 on February 26th before rising to $3.12 on February 27th. All right. That's the prompt for that question. How much per gallon would you be willing to pay for gas as a result of continuing to fight the war? $3 per gallon, $3.50 per gallon, $4 per gallon, $4.50 per gallon, $5 per gallon. Fighting the Iran war is not worth more per gallon of gas, right? And actually it's $5 or more. And then the option is fighting the Iran war is not worth, that's the other option. Which one did he pick? Fighting the Iran war is not worth paying more per gallon of gas. All right. And this is the Trump voter, Pennsylvania, 42, I believe he is. Perfect. This is the textbook millennial male. He makes 50 to 99 a year and has some college or associate degree and is married. This is, bro. And a Catholic. Bro, this is the quintessential need to have millennial male for the Republicans, period, to win or even be a viable national party at this point, because 4 years from now, without guys like this, they're done. Just guys, do yourself just simple projections. Go ask Grok, go ask Chat GPT about projections, or you could Burn It Down, because we do it for you in the book. But you'll see it soon. It's not like you think you have some time with the silence and the boomers, and it's almost here. Boomers, it's just life, guys. I'm not trying to talk like this to be mean or callous. It's just the way of the world. We all grow up, we all age, we all die. Life expectancy for this group has its proper estimates, and I want to give away too many because I'm not going to Burn It Down on live on air here, but you'll see we don't have 10 years. You may think you do, but we don't. All right. Considering the economic costs of the U.S. fighting the Iran war, do you believe it was worth fighting or not worth fighting? Not worth fighting. All right. Thinking about domestic versus, this is the White House focus tracker. Okay. He says he's too focused on foreign affairs, not enough on domestic affairs. By the way, that probably is either going to tie or it may exceed the all-time high for too focused on foreign affairs. I don't know yet. It's really close. It's like 61.5 right now, but with waiting, it could come down like a couple of decimals below it. We'll see. And then here is the elaborated response. This war is a disaster. The president betrayed us for Israel and billionaires. Though I said for this survey I'd vote, I don't want to vote and didn't in the primary for my state. Republicans were garbage before Trump, and now he's joined the Epstein class with the rest of the crooks.
Yeah.
Brother, ouch.
Yeah.
This was collected as I'm on book club last night, and I'm like, oh my God. So I grab it and I show it everybody on book club. I showed a certain OG MAGA congressman who's no longer in Congress, and he's like, oh, yikes, we're fucked. You know, because he gets, he's one of those guys, like the rare guys who gets it. You know what I mean? And this is, dude, what do you say to that? Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the problem that is faced, and I assume that the data confirms the same. That people aren't willing to pay more gas at the pump for this, want this to be over, are very unhappy that it's continuing, and that overwhelmingly the American people want him to exit, not escalate this conflict.
Okay. Here it is. Here's the, is it the most recent? We do have some more, but if I refresh it, it'll take time to aggregate them, but it's not going to be much different, guys. It's been about this. It went up since I spoke to Andrew earlier in the interview on the Charlie Kirk show. Do you support or oppose reopening negotiations to end the Iran war? Folks, unsure has more than opposition. Okay. Strongly support is 42%. Somewhat support is 25%. 67, about 66, a supermajority of the country just want the war to end. And they don't care about the terms of the MOU. They don't give a shit. Nobody cares. And that's it.
And that rebuts, like, I know, like Dr. Pape, who, you know, is escalation trap, is a lot of good geopolitical work. But there's a range of people I hear out there saying that, oh, Trump needs to deliver something for his base out of the war. He needs to get something, something he can point to as a positive achievement. No, he doesn't. He needs to get out. That's what his base want. His base doesn't care about what trophy he declares from the war. Yep. They don't need a trophy from the war. The trophy they want is the end of the war. And that's it. And that anybody out there thinking he's got, that his base wants him to keep going, that his base needs some sort of victory. His ego might want a victory, but his base doesn't care. The American people just want this to be done, over with, finished, end, gone, finito.
Amen. The fact is, Robert, that what's left of his base, MAGA base, that says they support the war and want to fight, they'll do anything anyway. They're a small percentage, number one. Number two, they'll do, if he declares victory tomorrow, and gets the shittiest deal alive, they won't care what Mark Levin says. It just doesn't matter. And anyway, you can't continue to pander to I understood what he was doing the first administration because he held on to his base the first time. What he doesn't understand this time is that he has thoroughly cracked and regressed, shrunk, and transformed his base into a group of people who couldn't stand him anyway. So like the very few that remain that would say, well, it was always MAGA and I support this, they'll listen to whatever Trump says. That's what I'm saying. It's the other people that you got to worry about. Before I get into the gas question, I just want to play something real quick because this inspired the gas question. Okay. It's not long, so bear with me for a second, guys, while I play this moron on Fox News.
I don't agree with the premise because the idea that, if we destabilize the regime, there could be terrorism. Iran has been carrying out terrorism against spreading terror. Until 9/11, they'd killed more Americans than any terrorist regime in the world. And in terms of the broader war, President Trump said, what's wrong with regime change? President Trump is the one who said to the Iranian people, help is on the way. He's not in the same place that J.D. Vance is. And J.D. Vance keeps putting up these straw men. He says, well, the people who want President Trump to go back to war, they want to send 150,000 troops. And nobody's saying that. Nobody is saying that at all. You don't have to tear down straw.
Wait a minute, like you didn't say this would turn into a full-blown regime change war if we struck the Fordo plant, okay? These guys are liars. He said regime change can be done from the air. They did this before. He sounds like Bill Kristol before the Iraq War. This is the same goalpost shift that they always do. And I'll also just add before I continue to this clip, they're attacking JD Vance because they're too much of a pussy to attack the president. There is now confirmation reporting of what those of us who actually have ins knew from the start, which is that he didn't go rogue. JD Vance was carrying out the wishes of the president. He's only attacking Vance because he's too much of a coward to criticize the president.
Well, you notice he almost slipped up and said President Bush there.
He did, right? It wasn't just me. He totally did. Honestly, we should go back real quick just to show everybody this. Listen.
Nobody's saying that at all. 150,000 says, well, the people who want President Trump to go back.
There it was. This is, for those that don't know, a huge Iraq war advocate for the Bush administration that President Trump used to make fun of until recently.
He wrote all the, I got a good note from that, bro, about him. I got a good note. I wish I could share it with the world, but honestly, the president would have every right to be mad at me if I did. But dude, I got some funny stuff on him and Levin. It's not even funny. The one with him was, I'll say this, guys. It was the night of the South Carolina primary, and he had been arguing with me on Twitter about Nikki Haley having a path to victory in South Carolina. And I had gone over the data, quote tweeting him and saying, bro, as usual, like in 16, you're just wrong. And here, let me tell you why you're wrong, and you're even more wrong now than you were in 16. So like, that's the president is a flatterer, so like he'll grab what you're saying, he'll be like, brilliant, you're so smart, what a stupid tool this guy is, in his own words. I wish I could do it, but I mean, man, this is what the most painful thing is about it. The president knows these guys are blockheads. This guy wrote every lie George Bush said from 2004 on, and these are the people that he has allowed to do this to his legacy. Because there was an influencer who is one of President Trump's strongest supporters, has always been, and won't ever attack him or criticize him publicly. He loves him, but he's apoplectic over how this administration has gone. He thinks it's total betrayal. I mean, over the weekend he was like, this will be his legacy, won't it? And it's like, yeah, buddy, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. And it's just now, like, it hasn't just now dawned on this guy. This guy knew, but like he's starting to accept it now. Like, he will be known as the guy who ran against these people and then got cucked and allowed these people to destroy his legacy. And it's sad to say. The only way that he could do something different is what I suggested today. I don't know, make Bibi go kiss the Washington Monument the way that we have to subject all of our U.S. politicians to the humiliation ritual of kissing the Western Wall. All right, maybe march Bibi's ass out there, tell him to bend over and kiss the Washington Monument. I mean, that may do it. I will see. I don't know. But outside of that, Robert, it's going to be hard to come back from. But good catch by Robert. I didn't hear it just now, but I did hear it before. I'm like, did he just say Bush? It's because these people, they don't evolve. They don't evolve. They're stupid people. They're not smart. They're a joke in academia and the foreign policy establishment in academia. And yet, for some reason, Republicans keep allowing them to destroy their administrations and destroy their coalitions. And notice how the media cheers along with you every time Republicans get elected and they start new stupid wars. And then when Democrats get in office, what do, Robert? Domestic policy. Only domestic policy. But here's the kicker. He's going to go on and basically lecture us about how much we should be willing to pay for gas.
To war, they want to send 150,000
right,
troops.
let's get past this.
Nobody's saying that. Nobody is saying that at all. You don't have to tear down strawmen. We've liberated 400 million people during the Cold War without a single boot on the ground.
That's bullshit, by the way. That's not even true. This has been debated.
They cannot have a nuclear weapon. The Strait of Hormuz has to be open. If they're not going to do that, but through an agreement, we have to do it militarily, and that's going to take more force than we're doing right now. And so, he should be backing the president and not contradicting him in public.
Yeah, it is interesting the way that's playing out, but I want to turn Rich to just...
Oh, I didn't get that one? Oh, come on. Whatever. Same thing. But he goes on to say that Americans should be willing to pay $4 a gallon in gas. All right. So we took that question. Okay. And we asked Americans, are you willing to pay $4 or more in, per gallon in gas? Do you think it is worth paying $4 per gallon or higher for gas to continue fighting the Iran war? A supermajority, Robert. No, it's not worth paying. Yes.
it was a point we made at the very, very beginning of all this back in the summer of 2025.
I think so, right?
Yeah, that historically Americans aren't willing to pay a price in casualties or economically for these kind of wars, and that nobody died fighting communism. I guess we skipped Vietnam and Korea in that, but that's Thiessen's history.
It's the lie that you can conduct a regime change from the air, which John Mearsheimer has decimated that argument over and over again. Stephen Walt has decimated that argument. It is not true. It is fiction.
And the thing with Korea, with Vietnam, with Iraq War I, with Iraq War II, with Afghanistan, is that it did not have anywhere near the catastrophic economic impact and risk that this Iran war does.
Yeah,
that's it. So that's why this was a uniquely vulnerable situation, and it's why Reagan pulled us out in 1983 from Lebanon. Didn't escalate after a bunch of our Marines were killed in Beirut. That even Poppy Bush didn't go into Iran. In fact, he didn't even go into Iraq. He just got the Kuwait war and then stopped. That the Bill Clinton didn't go into Iran. George W. Bush, who was deeply tempted to go into Iran, even he didn't go into Iran. And then, of course, Obama and Biden didn't go into Iran. The only president to take the bait has been Trump. And the reason why all those other presidents stayed away from it isn't because many of them were also, all of them had owed a debt to the Israel lobby. All of them were more instinctively war whores than Trump has ever been. It's because of the economic disaster that was very foreseeable, that every single military simulation had proven. And now you have, when what we see in the polling data is that the American people overwhelmingly want it to end. There is no pressure from Trump's base to keep this going. It is just the opposite. Please get it over. Even the most militaristic, jingoistic part of his base will accept any outcome, like your polling data showed when they did the original memorandum of understanding. And the only way that Trump can make this worse and make this and push the economy and the midterm prospects for Republicans for the Senate over the cliff is if he goes back in and escalates anytime between now and the midterms.
And I'm just going to put this up just so people can see, because, of course, it's not only a matter of his base, it's a matter of his voting coalition. It's a matter of what independents say. His independent approval rating will be the lowest we have ever found it in this poll. I'll tell you right now, among registered voters, it's probably going to be somewhere around 24%. It's that bad. Among likely voters, it's somewhat better, but we're talking like 26, maybe. I'll say 26. Brother, that's worse. It's worse than Biden. Okay, guys, it's worse than Biden. And I'm like watching it, and I'll be honest with you, I'm like, it's just sad to me. I mean, I laugh because, of course, we were right and we get to do victory laps and stuff, but is it worth, like, there are some things you would rather be wrong about, and unfortunately, we're not wrong here. Do you think paying $4 per gallon or higher for gas to continue fighting the Iran war is worth it? This is independence. 78%, 78.4%. No. Not worth it. All right. Let's look at per gallon. How much per gallon would you be willing to pay for gas as a result of continuing to fight the Iran war? Half of independents, basically, just under half, say fighting the Iran war is not worth paying more for gas. They didn't even pick a number, Robert. They just said it's not worth it. The funny thing about the prompt to this question is that we tell people what the AAA national average was on February 26th before the war started, and February 27th, it jumped over $3, right? We tell them that. So not in an effort, of course, they have to know what it was. Fighting the Iran war is not worth it. Just under half, another nearly 30%, 28.6% chose $3 per gallon. And that is obviously noteworthy because $3 is what it was before the war started. So what they're telling you is what Robert just said, why every other president didn't do this. They don't think it's worth gas moving higher. They don't. It's another way of simply saying no. And this is what I tried to tell Matt Gaetz and so many others in interviews over the months and the year, Robert, is that no matter how much you scare people into thinking Iran's going to get a nuke and nuke us, let alone, because that's what Mark Levine was falsely claiming, that they could hit us with an intercontinental ballistic missile with a warhead on it in Chicago. That was a lie. And Fox News allowed him to say such reprehensible falsehoods on their, on their networks. I mean, they're worried about other people talking about Dominion. I mean, this is a way worse lie than that, if you ask me. But it didn't matter. It's still, to these people, it just doesn't matter. Because of what I have been saying, you're never going to get them, no matter how much you may scare them, you're never going to get them to prioritize what is going on in other nations above their own basic needs. Guys, Google something, read a fucking book, please. Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If they're not even getting past the lowest level on the pyramid, fulfilling your basic needs, then they're not going to care about your moral crusades that aren't even true, that aren't even real. They can't put gas in their gas tanks. This is an activity that Americans do almost on a daily basis. You're reminding them every day or every 2 days, every 3 days max, that you effed up, that you're responsible for hurting them, that you broke your promise, another thing in the Ben Shapiro video, we said President Trump his whole career has said he'd do this. No, he didn't. He said he would get a better deal and not allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. He was the art of the deal, remember? He did not say that he would wipe a civilization off the map, that he would start a new war. I mean, to imagine thinking that the normal average American would believe that after 10 years of Donald Trump's political career, you would convince the average Trump voter that he, for the entire 10 years of his career, said he was willing to go to war in the Middle East and start a new, never-ending, stupid war in the Middle East, despite the fact that his slogan was literally no new wars in the Middle East. I mean, it's unbelievable that you would be that arrogant or stupid or whatever it is. As you go down, what are we getting to now? Like 450? Yeah, 2.8% of the population is willing to deal with 450 gallon, gas. Mark Thiessen's number, $4 per gallon. Mark, I don't know if you're colorblind or just stupid, but that says 7.7%, you stupid moron. Then not for nothing, but anybody who listened to these people, you're just as dumb. And you're also just as culpable for turning over this country to what I'm going to show you in a second, because I don't want to give away too much. But Robert, this one of the main reasons why I've been so vocal and so pissed about this, at the risk of understandably knowing that Trump could send out a truth post at any minute slapping at me, is this. This is who you're turning the country over to. Look at this. Every month, these people get more and more radical and more fanatic. Look at this. 56% of the Democratic Party identifies as a democratic socialist. Another 7% identify flat out just as a socialist. They're turning the country over to a 65 near supermajority socialist party. And they did it for Israel. I mean, that's it. You did it for Israel because you're all either getting paid by them or you're ethno-religious supremacists, which I know we're not allowed to say, but I'm going to say it. You're ethno-religious supremacists who think of yourselves superior of white Christians and black Christians and everyone else, sure as hell Muslims. This is why you did it. Let's get real. It's either money, loyalty to another country, or ethno-religious supremacy, because it ain't wisdom, Robert.
And I think before we turn to the super chats, and get to those questions, I think the advice number one is, given where Iranian public opinion is, given where U.S. public opinion is, that the combination of those two factors, independent of the economic and military and political limitations on the conflict in general, the president needs to resist all efforts to escalate this week and just exit. Exit. The second part, the ideal way he could flip the script and throw a Hail Mary that might put the Senate back into Republican grasp, would be what you've mentioned to him and what apparently Vance and Colby and some others have developed because it leaked out of Israel, which is that to use this opportunity to publicly bitch slap Bibi Netanyahu.
Yep.
To say you're going to get out of Lebanon, you're going to get out of Syria, you're going to get out of Gaza, you're going to quit all this nonsense and gibberish, you're going to agree to stand down as to Iran. While we enter what will have to be much longer term negotiations because nothing quickly will come.
Nope.
That he should use this as an opportunity. He says he's not controlled by the Israel lobby. He
Prove
says he's not controlled by Bibi Netanyahu.
This
is exactly, and this would be a perfect opportunity, prove it to the world. If he could flip the script like this, which Trump is infamous for being able to do politically and personality wise, then he could truly salvage an opportunity at the midterms. But I think that's it. He needs to do a Hail Mary, and the Hail Mary has to be a public dressing down of Bibi Netanyahu, followed up by Israeli action in getting out of Lebanon, getting out of Gaza, getting out of Syria, standing down as to Iran. And then the people would say, well, maybe the real Trump is back in such a way that he can salvage some support, salvage some enthusiasm, salvage some of the anti-war vote that can mitigate what is otherwise going to be a bloodbath in November.
And what you said is one of the reasons why I always am hesitant to count Trump out all the way, because you have to understand, guys, I'm an 80s baby. I watched Donald Trump's career as a New Yorker. By the way, I mean, I've seen him go bankrupt and come back. I've seen him put all his money too early in other buildings and in airlines that weren't going to work. And I've seen the media count him out and write his obituary, and then him come roaring back and live in a most like luxurious place in an area of New York that was a dump and was turned into a beautiful strip because of him. So I am so tempted to not, to say it, because any other person I would say, man, this is over. Like, get rid of this guy. Well, he's killing the party, but it is him. And he also was the guy who, made the most incredible comeback ever. But I will say this. I mean, the reality is the reality. I don't want to blow his name up, because I know he always says, well, Rich, I agree, but my role is different than your role in this. It's like, bro, I get it. You don't want to lose your invite to the White House. I get it. They're just so sad that they cornered the market on the anti-war vote and the populist vote and the they care about me vote, people like me vote. And that's what they squandered. And it's so incredibly hard in politics to ever get that back. And when you interview people like I interview people, let's say you don't have good political instincts, but you do the job and you actually do it the way I do it, which most pollsters just outsource stuff. I still listen in on interviews. I still read transcribed, elaborated responses. I have AIs flag me for when I think someone is key to interview myself, and I still will do an interview. It's just so obvious, Robert. There's just too many people who feel utterly betrayed. And even among those who still love Vance, because he's very clearly, they can see something different, there comes a point where it's hard to wash the stink off a vice president. It's just what may be required to do so isn't politically viable to do. So you end up, unfortunately, a victim of the Iran war. Like you yourself end up a casualty, and it's your political career. And I mean, it's sad, but it's hard. I'm reluctant to say again, because it's Trump, and I've seen him do these miraculous turnarounds. I've seen it with my own eyes, guys. And I know he has it in him, but I would say this to the president, what you just said, Robert, like, prove it. Like, the only difference between this administration and your first one, sir, is that you took $350 million from Miriam Adelson this time, and you let in the enemy this time. And by the enemy, there's always been neocons, and but you let in, like, forget that dual loyalty bullshit. You can't have dual loyalty. You let in people who have loyalty to a foreign nation when you're supposed to be the leader of America first. So my point to you is, prove it. You don't want people to think you're BB's bitch, and you don't want the memes to keep coming. Prove it. You don't want people to think you're a slave to the Israel lobby and that you're an independent voice. Prove it. And that's it. No more talk. It's not good enough anymore. Your approval rating is about to fall into the teens with independents. I've never even seen that in my polling career. You cannot come back from this, and Republicans will betray you and remove you anyway. They'll do it anyway. You still think you're in a business world. This is the political world. It doesn't work that way. All right. Looking forward to seeing you both this weekend. A drink of your choice will be on me, as will a ride to and from the airport if you need it. Well, Cynic, I'll tell you this. You better try that whiskey that they got there, because oh my God, Laura, you're going to love this. It's everything you love in a whiskey. It is. It's everything you love. Caramelly, very deep, it's got a deep, rich, bold palate. You'll like it, Laura. It's good. It's real, to the point where I'm trying to find you a whiskey, and I'm texting Robert in the liquor store like, yo, what's the closest thing I can get to this, bro? The answer is nothing, really. It's that good. It's good. Remember my toe was broken, Robert, and the doctor was like, I got to examine you. I was like, hold up. Give me a shot first. My toe's broken. I appreciate I get the ride to and from, brother. I appreciate it, but I will see you for a toast if you come. Of course, you're going to find me. I'm looking forward to meeting you too. This is going to be a banger, man. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm excited.
Me too.
And I get to hang out with cool people.
Yeah, they're good people. Very good people. And
I met Robert.
I mean, save for that Viva guy. I'm just playing, dude. He's such a nice guy. He is. For people, he's been under a lot of attack, because he's doing the right thing. He's doing the right. He'll be an anti-Semite soon, even though he is in fact Jewish. He'll be an anti-Semite soon. But what he's doing is challenging the Candace narrative, the Queen of Lies. I watched the show yesterday. It was great. By the way, I told Andrew to watch it because it was fantastic what you did, man. Because you're right. The people who are following down this rabbit hole with her are actually helping the people who engineered Charlie's death. You're actually helping them. You're creating the chaos that they wanted. And unfortunately, we'll never get into the Discord chats if we keep talking about Egyptian airplanes and exploding microphones. And that's exactly where they want us, guys. And this is what you've done. I mean, I don't keep getting into it, but Palaway says, Rich, gas is $6 where I live. Eating out is impossible. Lost insurance at the beginning of the year. Groceries are through the roof. Trump is not ready for what's coming. Voters feel betrayed. What do you say?
No doubt about that. And if he goes back in, then it's going to look like it may be the worst midterms in modern American political history.
We did a generic Senate ballot too. And we're going to, because the sample size is going to be so low, it'll be over 3,000, I imagine, even after we get the likely voter amount. Probably. I don't want to say, but it'll be big enough where we can pull out battleground states and at least do like post stratification, bro, it's bad. It's ugly. And it's like to the point where like Iowa is 1 point either way. Ohio's like, it's strange because I think it's because of some of the sub demographic groups, but Ohio is like Brown by 3. Ashley Hinson would have like a 0.2 lead. I mean, it's ridiculous, which is nothing, guys. That means she's going to lose. You have a 0.2 lead in Iowa, you're going down. I mean, that's it. Paxton has a 2-point lead, which is good. But we'll see. It's going to be that state is going to be so close. North Carolina's gone, bro. It's like Cooper plus 11. Oh,
Wowzers.
I don't even know what to do because like 18% of the Republican Party is voting for Roy Cooper.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's winning the independent vote by like, I think it was 19 points.
He's going to want to run for the White House. Nobody's talking about it, but if he wins big, he's
why he passed on Kamala. They called him. They called him. I know they called him. And he was like, no, thank you, Madam Vice President. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, who says no?
You
don't say no. He said no, which told me immediately he's running for the Senate, then he's running for president. And he's not going to let her loss get in his way because he knew she was going to lose. Oh, man. Will America's military merge with and fight alongside Israel on the ground? Or will anti-Semitism prevail in our U.S. Congress?
And that's the other thing you could throw in. You could tell
Are you coming this weekend? God, I hope so.
Publicly smack Bibi. 2, force Israel to back out of Syria, Lebanon, and Gaza, at least Lebanon. And 3, come out and say he'll veto this bill. If he were to do those 3 things, he could salvage some, mitigate what's coming and not escalate and instead exit. If he did that quartet, then that's a tango that could get him back in the game to not get crushed. If he doesn't do that quartet, the crushing is coming.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Of course, veto the NDAA. Of course, veto the NDAA. This is not America first. This isn't America's interest. By the way, book club went nuts yesterday when we started reading this, and they realized not only all the carve outs and exceptions we break our own laws. It's not just that we give Israel more money. We break our own laws on foreign aid in what we do to give Israel money. And it's worse than that. There's already been several of these kind of mergers that have been done. It is on a level this time that we've never seen before. And I'm telling you, at the center of all this is the F-35, Robert. Turkey is making their own. They don't need us to give them F-35s anymore. They're making their own. In a little over a year or so, they'll get the delivery of their first 10 block of these planes. And Israel still needs us they can build a shell of an F-35, not as equipped, but we wouldn't give them the technology to complete it. Well, guess what? I'm sure they're going to get it through this merger. But this is what this is. They want to be the regional hegemon, and you can't be if you don't have air supremacy. So if Turkey has air supremacy, then that's a problem for them. That's what this is all about. It's about them being able to become the regional hegemon. And unfortunately, you see, we can pluck them out right now. If I go to Twitter, anyone who's talked about anything with Turkey, which I told you, Cerno, I told you, because I knew they went to the White House late last year, and he was like, they're not going to go after Turkey. Told you they were going after Turkey. I saw the map, bro. Okay. They're going after Turkey. And, yeah, that's what this is about. Greater Israel and regional hegemony, and you can't do that if you don't have air supremacy. And by the way, yeah, I don't know. I hope you're going there, Gray. For those who are new, who aren't normal listeners, Gray is our resident. He's our resident. It's not a satirist. It's like
satirist is probably.
Yeah, I guess. Steve says, Rich, you need to get on Mario's show. Barnes shouted you out. I'm getting there. Something happened today, and he had to cancel. We're rescheduling. It's coming. I was disappointed. I wanted to go on myself. We'll get there. Love seeing you all try to spread the truth in this clown world. Matt Bracken is saying this war is merging with Ukraine into an energy war, World War III. There is an element that is trying and will try tomorrow to basically merge these wars. That is true. That report is true.
And they want to add in an economic, because who comes up with the genius? Hey, let's have a land war with Russia. We try to conquer the Persians, and we try to bluff the Chinese. Let's do all three at once. Let's take on all three of the longest lasting civilizations on planet Earth, all at the same time. Well, it's the level of idiocy and insanity and hubris.
It's hubris.
Incredible.
Yeah, brother, it's hubris. With no interceptors and no rare earth materials. We're actually making quasi tomahawks because we don't have enough rare earth materials.
You said, the U.S. is going to buy some time to restock. How? We don't even have the rare earth materials to restock.
And you see Mark Levin and all the rest of them trying to say, like, JD's leaking all this stuff about the interceptors. Dummies. Bloomberg has a freaking interceptor clock on their website. You stupid
Larry Johnson,
morons.
Who will be there this weekend, was telling people this, former CIA analyst, all the way back in February.
On Mario's show, by the way.
We're going to be on the clock. And he's like, this is going to run out. Everybody in the Pentagon knew this. And the Haig's death was lying to Trump all the way through about it early on. And that's when Vance started calling him out on it. But don't blame Vance for pointing out what everybody, Iran is fully aware of this. It's open source information, the limitations of our weaponry.
So stupid. And thank you for being a member. And by the way, thank you everybody for their super chats. Thank you I am pissed at the Republican Party. Feel so betrayed. I actually have great reason to despise the left. I am trans and I am sane, and I have fought against leftist ideology, but because of Republicans, third party or sit home.
That's what 1 in 5 long-standing base Republicans are telling people in places like Iowa.
And Quint Thomas doesn't sound like one of them. He's that
right. You add that category of independent. That's what I'm
saying. It's like a third.
Exactly. They should be desperate to claw back in to an election that would already be DOA, but for the Democratic Party's continued lack of ability to persuade that part of the audience that they're a viable alternative. That's the only thing that's keeping Republicans in the game. But they can lose it this week if they don't make the right decisions.
Oh, my God. Quinn Thomas added, I also did my own predictions. House 224 to 211 Dems, 52 to 48 Dems in the Senate. Way to go, Trump. I got to just say this because, again, with Mike, I don't know why I'm dropping Mike today, but he's been commenting on a lot of this stuff. The DDHQ model, he said, yeah, sounds about right, but you're really misinterpreting that model. If you read into the model, it's very similar in our own. The like the most, they're breaking down each chamber, and that's why Republicans have a slight edge in the Senate. But what you don't know if you don't read their analysis fully is exactly the way I see it too. The most likely scenario, 5 and 8, at the very least, depending on your modeling, is that they'll take both. And because the cyclical nature of the Senate typically, has like a buttressing effect on some of these waves. But because of what Barnes and I've gone over this on other episodes, you can read them on the House forecast and Senate forecast episodes. When there have been other mitigating factors such as betrayals, wars, bad economies, scandals, that buttress breaks. And it has happened in everyone. And it's happened to Democrats, it's happened to Republicans. Republicans are not going to escape at this time. An unpopular war, a betrayal, and coupled with a bad economy is not going to hold that rule. It's not. So I'm not saying that. I think they're probably more close to accurate. Our House forecast right now is 228. That's like the not so hard ceiling for Dems. And by the way, it's probably going to go up because this is the second poll in a row now where we're going to have a big lead for Democrats. That's above that threshold that I talked about earlier, where the gerrying has practical limitations. And if the dam breaks, if the levee breaks, then those other districts, aren't going to hold. And we could go over them in another episode. But, for instance, if you go to Cook, Robert, it's like a joke. I mean, if you go to Cook, for instance, they have New Jersey 7, Keene Jr. in the toss-up category. They have Ohio 9, Marcy Kaptur in the toss-up category. I mean, give me a break. They did finally move NC 1, which is Don Davis. It was gerried, so Lori Buckhout should be able to win. The problem is, I know the situation here. Nobody's giving Lori any money. She should still be able to win this, but she's not going to. Texas 15.
But Seth told me Democrats had given up on North Carolina one, and it was a lock.
It's not.
You saw
that's
that
not even remotely true. I don't know where he got that from.
I know he had all these competitive districts where there's a bunch of money flooding into the Democrat. And I was like, where did you come up with this? And I was like,
went on Talk of the Town, which is Eastern North Carolina's most popular show. And we just talked about this. And those guys are well plugged in. They know the story too. Lori can't raise any money. Matter of fact, I like Lori. She's got an open invite on the show. I'd be happy to have her on the show because, guys, wink, wink, that's my district. And if we lose this, I'm going to be pissed. I didn't like Greg Murphy, but I would like Lori Buckhout better. They're pulling this crap too. It's like the same thing they did with Mark. Oh, she's not one of us. I'm not giving her any money. And it's like in a situation, Don Davis is, you stupid morons. I mean, it's unbelievable. But if you look, Perry in Pennsylvania 10, yeah, goodbye, bro. Good luck. Washington 3, Perez. Come on. That is not a toss-up. Give me a break. Virginia 1, Whitman is lean R. Did you see the vote in Virginia 1 the last 2 elections in Virginia? Guys, give me a break. Iowa 2, that's leans, I guess, but it's open. Michigan 10 is open. There's also several now with Florida 7 with Corey Mills. I know for a fact the internal polling since the scandal has Mills down, and Trump needs to pull his endorsement and get rid of him and swap. He's another fake ass MAGA too. Corey Mills sits there and pretends like he's the epitome of evangelical values. The guy is chasing every 20-year-old skirt Republican assistant in town, wooing them, trying to get them to come to his beach house that he doesn't really have and he borrows from somebody else. It's gross. We all know the inside ball game here. Okay. He sits there and pretends like he's some evangelical, yet for some reason prays 3 times a day, bro. Like he's converted to some weird conversion of Islam. I mean, this is bad. I mean, Corey Mills is a dirtbag, a total dirtbag. And, that's why I got, I don't want to get back into the other stuff, but I love Bryant in Pennsylvania 1. To rate him as likely is bullshit. They know he's in trouble. This is a big problem. I mean, if the dam breaks, bro, the levee will fall and down will come Republicans, rhinos and all. Okay. So, I mean, that is the most likely scenario is if that does happen, you will never be able to hold the tie to the Senate. And you know what? If you look on the forecast for DDHQ, their pivot state is Sherrod Brown in Ohio. And we'll get results very quickly from certain states. North Carolina, we'll get Ohio in the Midwest really early. If Sherrod Brown looks like he's going to win Ohio, then the Democrat chance of taking the House rises, even in their weakest forecast for Dems, to 80%. And I'm telling you right now, Sherrod Brown is ahead. Everybody knows it. And it's not even that close. Like Brown is ahead by like 5 points. All right. It's not good, you know? What generic ballot margin will the Democrats need to achieve at minimum to acquire no less than 51 seats? That's a tricky question. It's a good question. What do you think, Robert? I have my own.
Well,
things.
it's because of the underlying metrics of the states that they're in. So I think Democrats could win by 6 and still win Iowa and win Alaska and win Maine and win Ohio. I think they need to cross close to double digits to be able to take a state like Texas or South Carolina or Montana. Now I think Nebraska is one that I think is just going to go.
Montana, though, could
that Nebraska independent is running a very.
Yeah, I mean, Nebraska is a problem.
I mean, they're internals. People don't know. The internals have
Yeah.
the Democrat ahead in Nebraska already. He almost won in 2024.
Yep.
And Osborne's running a very populist campaign. He was just featured in the New York Times and elsewhere because he's one of the most prominent Democrats running on America First, not Israel First. And he's running as an independent, not on the there is no Democratic candidate in that race. So Osborne's an old school labor connected guy. He's a big food freedom guy. He, hates Tyson Foods. So he's got populist bona fides. That's why he did so well last time. And the Republican there in Nebraska is a total loser.
Yeah, it's 6. It is. And by 6, when we run the simulations at 6 points, you start to see like Brown winning by 2, 3. And even though I think Brown could probably win in a lower environment, honestly, because of it. Yeah, because of the dynamics of that specific race.
I mean, almost won in 24.
That's
when, with Trump at the top of the ticket with Resurrection Trump.
That's right.
He came within 3 points. I mean, it was one of the early bets I gave out was that Marino would win because he was an underdog to win Ohio. It's because of how strong Brown is.
Yes.
And now he's got Houston. I mean, come on.
The Epstein class candidate himself.
Yes, exactly.
Guy's going down, dude. He's going down. I'm sorry. That's at 6 is when Hinson loses her lead in Iowa, like for sure on the simulations, even though it's weird because, guys, Iowa swings more to the left than Ohio does. Go look at 18. You don't believe me? Go look at 18. And also, every other damn election, but 18 would be a more comparable one, I would say. And then, there's Nebraska that goes at 6. It does. And people don't realize this, but it does because of the specific dynamics of the race. Sullivan holds on by like 1 or 2. But again, that's nothing when you're running these models. It's like they do have error. They do have sampling errors. They have error, and I think it's like plus or minus 2 or 1.9. So it's like they're right there. And, I mean, Michigan is not competitive. I mean, it's not. People are giving money to Rogers. You're burning your money. Georgia, you're burning your money. Ossoff's going to, and I like Collins. I've had him on the show. He's going to get clobbered, guys. Clobbered. I'm sorry. He's done. There's no chance. Ossoff's going to beat him like a drum. It's going to be ugly. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. I get what you're saying, and I totally agree. Rich's follow-up book title, Burn Them Down. Ooh, I like that idea. Yeah, they'll put me in a gas chamber, but I'll be a martyr. The apparent thing burnt right now is Rich's face. It's the camera, okay? I'm telling you, I was just on another show. It wasn't burnt like this. I don't know what the hell's going on. But that is funny. And yes, I do tan. Of course, I'm Italian. I tan. I get dark. Extradite Bibi to The Hague and withdraw from Iran. I mean, oh my God, Trump would go to like 55% approval rating. And it would be so weird because like who would send it to 55? And then you'd have all of these neocon bastards all pissed and strongly disapprove, but it's strong fall from 45 to like 38, 37. It would be great. And it's like, this is where I'm at with the neocons. And, this is what I tell all of these like so-called peacemakers who are always trying to like make peace with them. They cost you too much. They're not worth it. Let them find a different place to belong. All right. They're done anyway. All they have is money. They don't have numbers. And when you're talking about the people who fund that and the people who are at the core of Israel First and neoconservatism, you're talking about 25 to 30% of 2.5%. Let them go vote Democrat. And here's a little secret. They've been voting Democrat anyway. If you think Mark Thiessen pulled the lever for Donald Trump, you're sniffing coke. If you think that Ben Shapiro finally saw the light and has been supporting Donald Trump all this time, you're sniffing coke. Actually, you're not. You're in a full-blown amphetamine delusion. What is it? Psychosis? When they're up for 3 days because they've been eating balls of crystal meth and smoking the pipe. What is that? They go into like a full psychosis. That is what you're in if you think these people who now love Trump have been voting for him anyway. They are secret Biden and Harris lever pullers. All right. Trump did not win because of them, and they're just not worth it. If they want to go vote Democrat, the rest of them, go ahead. Whatever. It's the only way you're ever going to get these other people to come back and to expand, to be able to expand. They have to, Robert, do you agree with that? They have to be cut loose. Like, they can vote for the coalition if they want, but they can't have a say in policy and the agenda. And at some point they have to be cut loose because the rest of their voters are about to die in 4 years. So who gives a shit?
Yeah, no doubt.
It's that simple. Any chance they'll finally be targeted blame from Trump towards those in the cabinet most responsible for this? Rubio, Hegseth, Ratcliffe. I don't think they're going after Rubio ever. There's a wing in the
There was
White
a
House.
little bit of flirtation with it right after the MOU. You heard talk that Trump was unhappy with those three people, but it quickly faded out and faded away. If Trump was going to try to resurrect his presidency, then those people would be jettisoned. But I don't know if he's got the wherewithal to do so.
I have talked to people who have told me what is going on with Hegseth, and I have just completely lost all respect for that man. And I have been friends with him on Facebook since like 2015.
Yeah.
And Sean Parnell and I, obviously, well, we were close. We'll see what happens after this administration. I haven't spoken to him in a while.
You see that Parnell was one of the ones in the regime change book when he tried to correct Trump's dumb statement that we had complete control over the air and there was nothing Iran could do and we could fly our planes anywhere.
Yeah.
And exactly. He was trying to say no, try to walk that back in a gentle way. Trump apparently went ballistic on Parnell. So that's the problem. He's been in that bad mindset. He's shown filters of coming back to reality in the right side, but we'll see. Is he gonna finish up as Darth Vader before the final resurrection, or will he actually resurrect? That's the open question.
Tell you what, man,
we'll find out this week, frankly, because of how much is at risk right this week. Does he exit? Does he escalate? Does he smack BB down, or does he bow to him again?
I love Sean, and I want to see a way out for him on this. The fact that he wasn't like a decision maker, he was just a deliverer of information, could probably help. But at the same time, I don't know. They were lying about the casualties. They were. And which is, I had Joe Kent on to talk about this. It's not easy to lie about casualties. It means you have to delay what is required, in other words, for like legally required paperwork and notifications. And it means they didn't do that. And I hope he has no knowledge of this. I don't know, but I'll tell you what, dude, there's certain things that like I just won't tolerate being lied to about. And there's nothing worse than how many of our boys and girls have you gotten killed? And we'll see. Well, I'm going to end it there because I want to give the guy a chance because I respect him so much. I want to give him a chance, but he clearly has been given a don't talk to him order at this point, and that's sad. I tried to come into town, have dinner with him, and he was like, he flew the coop. Like it was like, come on, bro, come on. And that's probably because he does respect me enough that he didn't want to look me in the eye and lie to me. So which is, I guess, I got to give him some credit for that. But you guys were all Hegseth, who you told me was trustworthy, Sean. All right. All of you guys, including the vice president, even though I know he did the right thing, you were all supposed to be our millennial warriors who were the post 9/11 guys who knew better. And that's what the country trusted you with because they knew you were all those guys, the ones who were lied to by the 9/11 class. You were, and they ruined your lives over it, and you persevered over it anyway. And now you've grown from your mistakes and you've learned from those mistakes. And this is what you did. It's unforgivable, honestly. And I don't like my instinct, Robert, is that they'll never forgive them for this. Never. I'm talking about the voter. They'll never
Yeah.
forgive me for this.
Unless they take advantage of a rare opportunity they have this week. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. I checked out of politics except for you guys. Probably not voting this time. McClintock's a rhino piece of shit. Cheers. Nobody polls me, by the way.
There's a good number of people who feel that way.
And I appreciate that. I'm glad we can be some level of sanity to you. I would argue, guys, like, don't forget to watch, House of Dragons. Like, don't always like kill yourself in this shit. Like after this, Laura, I'm going to watch House of Dragons. The poll can wait a little bit. All I'm doing is collecting interviews. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this person represents either part of the 1 in 4 or the 1 in 5 or the rest of the people that get you to about a third. That's the situation Republicans are in. Diamondoid, chimpanzee, 10 joules, gold coin. I have no idea what those things are. YouTube told me to turn them on. Thanks, bro. Or girl. Sorry. I don't know. But thank you, Diamondoid. Appreciate that. I actually have reason to despise leftists. Because I already read this one, didn't I?
Yep.
Oh, they are regressive. But I can't stand neocons just as much. I know a ton of people in your demographic. I'm talking about like personally, people who are gay, trans, who came over to the right in 24 because they were different than neocons. They represented, like, the Trump-Vance ticket represented something different.
Oh, yeah. It's got Moorfield of the libertarians that said, look, that their go-to line for the last decade was, but Trump will get us involved in a stupid war in the Middle East.
Now, how dumb do we look, bro?
I know. It's unbelievable.
And it's like people are, I don't like people's punny because he never admits he's wrong. What are you talking about? I had a whole Barnes and I did a whole show about how we were wrong.
Oh, exactly, about the Israel lobby and everything.
We were wrong about this. We were wrong about that and Trump's ability to press back against them. We were the ones who defended him.
For a decade.
Yep. And I was very wrong. Laura and I have been sold over this. Very wrong to defend Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli state.
Yeah, no doubt.
They are the Nazi regime in this modern era. They are. What does your polling say on data centers? This is a great question. I saw Trump come on in favor of them and have a couple family members not happy about it. Hogboy, I told them literally standing outside the Oval Office that it's absolutely unpopular. I gave Peter Navarro polling data. This is bad. You know who's got the best message on data centers according to our polling? Bernie Sanders.
It's like, let's see, what other unpopular causes can I jump on? the level of genius is just striking. The political ineptitude.
Everybody knows.
More AI, more data centers, more big tech. Woohoo!
More poison. Let's inject poison directly into our bodies. That's it. That's the ticket. You know what else? I think I'm going to give the Wuhan Institute a grant for gain of function research. Why don't we just do that? Unbelievable. That's a good question. Appreciate that. Let me see real quick. I don't think I missed anything else. I can bust on over to, this is going to come live. Yep, it is. Mike G, Great Britain has a nuclear weapon. The Muslims have taken over that government. Eventually, this was hand over the nuclear info to their Muslim brothers. Now we don't have any more nuke concerns. Bro, that's great. What do you say to that? I mean, that's a very real concern.
I mean, if Trump doesn't exit and he escalates, the risk of a nuclear arms race in the Middle East goes way, way up.
Really? Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Another reason why he's got to get out. Imagine the humiliation if Iran tests a nuclear weapon. Of Trump. That would be the most humiliating, eviscerating, emasculating thing out there. It is what they will do if he escalates at some point.
I did a poll on the locals version of the YouTube, and it said, keep fighting Iran or give peace a chance. Give peace a chance currently has 100%, which is hilarious because that's how much MAGA supports Iran, apparently, according to the fake neocon Israel First polling. If you look at my TikTok, you will see 5 or 6 of your videos that I've used to educate people in the Minnesota GOP, and they are usually always well performing. I am going to go look at your TikTok. Can you please put your handle in there so I know? Or follow me, and then I'll know it's you. Peoples.pundit on TikTok, folks. I just got it. There's nothing up except for like a quick video of a montage of cool photos and stuff. but videos will start going up after this because I'm going to AI clip interviews from earlier today and this show. And then I'm going to start streaming on TikTok, like short streams and Instagram. I'll put them up on Instagram too. But and YouTube, of course, you'll get them as well. And locals, I'll have to upload them for you. But I wish locals did shorts, Robert. You know, that would be cool. I wish they did shorts, but Bitch Shapiro literally responded to Tucker saying Ben could step up and join. He responded with goy slop, with an anti-American whore. Yes. And the funny thing is, I don't want to get into this too much, guys, but there is a section of America First. Tucker is right about all of this. They believe in this prophecy and ethno-religious supremacy. And the entire prophecy is about using the United States. In their mind, they interpret it as the United States to fight the great evil, Iran, which comes at the expense of their friends' superpower, which they're using as cucks. Evangelicals, wake up. You're being cucked. And they know they're doing it, and they're laughing at you. And then by the end of this great conflict, they become the dominant regional power, and their superpower friend collapses, leaving a void in the world for them to fill. Ben Shapiro believes that. Okay, so I think you all need to take your head out of your asses because you're literally being used to fulfill the prophecy of fanatic religious people who don't share your faith. Okay, I mean, I've never seen anything like this, Robert. Like the people, the Pastor Hagees, the Jerry Falwells, the Jimmy Swaggarts, all of those guys are exactly what Christ warned us about. They are the viper fake prophets who will lead you and your soul into the darkness. And that is what they have done. And they're disgusting. They're heretics. They're absolute heretics. And that's what he means by goy slop. I just hope you understand that when he says that, that's what he means. He's laughing at you. By the way, Tucker got like 4 times the engagement. And these other Israel shill paid for foreign agent accounts, we once maybe had respect for some of them. We're like, yeah, look at Tucker getting nailed, throttled. It's like, bro, he's got 130,000 likes on it. Ben Shapiro's got like 20,000. Like,
and they seem to really think they can run a 2002 style campaign.
They do.
That the Muslims are coming and the commies are coming, and that will rally all of these voters back. And it's like that voter group that is literally dead. They could have. They're not around to give you a majority anymore. You can get some hardcore evangelical conservatives over 45 that in parts of it's deep south, but that isn't where you need. It's not Tom Cotton's seat in Arkansas that's up for grabs. So this is not going to be a winning strategy, I don't think.
And Iowa evangelicals, good job. Look what you did. Barnes and I tried telling you that old school evangelical block that has all the influence doesn't even represent really the newer, younger evangelicals, which is why Trump drummed Ron DeSantis with them. And they gave away
Ted Cruz. I mean, he beat up on Ted Cruz with a non-church going evangelical vote in 2016 primaries that nobody understood. And so it's too small a subsector, but they really live in their own world. So, like, I'll hear from them on a daily basis here in Tennessee that, they'll be like, do you hear about the Muslims are taking over New York City and that the commies are taking over New York City and that they're now going to take over America? It's like, well, if you're worried about that, then you should want us to get the heck out of the war with Iran. But putting that aside, it's like, I understand that's the pitch. And that's only going to work with a small group. The normie younger people I know, it means nothing.
Fly, brother. Doesn't fly. No. I mean, what is a podcast without hearing from your favorite pain in the ass? Me. And this is on P Pick and Q. Glad to see you on TP again. Getting so sick of their damn happy talk that I know isn't true. War needs to be over. Messaging needs to change. Ours need to get their damn heads out of their asses and do something. And P Pick and Change is one of the people who argue in the comments a lot, Robert, that we shouldn't let Republicans go down because Democrats are crazy and we'd be like cutting our nose off to spite their face. And I get that. I totally do. I get both sides of the argument. I really do. But she's right, man. And I'll be honest, they had me on today to end the happy talk. Like I said, I have put out the bulletin. I will no longer do your show if you are a gaslighting, seal clapping idiot. I have denied multiple today. Will you come on this show? Nope. Because I'm tired of your stupid happy talk. I'm tired of your unwillingness to offend certain people, to anger certain people. Your cowardice has put us in this position, and I no longer respect any of you. So I'm not coming on your shows. You can't piggyback off my followers. No. The answer is no. End of story. Go find 350,000 other Twitter followers to tune into your show, because I'm not telling my people to watch your slop bullshit. And they brought me on there today, and I told Andrew, I'm like, bro, I'm going scorched earth. I'm Mark Levin and Mark Thiessen and Ben Shapiro and the Israel lobby. Everybody. They put us, I'm looking at these polls. I'm showing them over the weekend too. Look at what they did to us. Remove the word black pill from your vocabulary, because that isn't smart. All right. To drive the Titanic into the iceberg and then pretend like you're not sinking is retard. It's not black pilling. It's retard pilling. It's just stupid. Imagine, Robert, if Mehmet II, I know he uses this all the time, but imagine if he listened to the sycophant vizier his father had, and he just kept slamming troops, even his elites, into the side of Constantinople, into the walls of Constantinople. He would have been defeated like his father. He didn't listen to a sycophant vizier. Instead, he carved a land path to the other side of the Golden Horn, dropped his ships, his navy, into the other side, which wasn't chained, and took Constantinople from surprise, and then slammed the rest of his troops, his elites, into the wall. And when he finished conquering Constantinople, he executed the sycophant vizier. That is how a leader operates. He doesn't sit there and say, tell me how good I am. Tell me how good I am. And then smash everything to pieces because he's too stubborn to say it and, to change his ways. I mean, and I'm just going to put this up. Mark Levin is disgusting. I agree. He literally said I had anti-Semitism in my DNA. Like, tell me you're a reverse Nazi without telling me you're a reverse Nazi, bro. Like, that's what you're a Jewish supremacist. And it's like, why is it not okay, bro? Why is it okay to listen to Christianity get trash, listen to Islam get trash, but you can't at all criticize Judaism? Why is it okay to watch white people, especially white Americans, get trashed all the time? We can even watch the right trash Black Americans and trash Hispanic Americans. We're going to deport these people. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. But the minute you call somebody an ethno-religious supremacist because they clearly are a Jewish supremacist, you're an anti-Semite. Like, it's bullshit, bro. I'm over it. What the fuck made you special? Fuck you. We've all had fucking suffering. Fuck you. You're an ethno-religious supremacist. You have to be, otherwise you're totally retarded and incapable of learning from your past mistakes. I'm sick of that guy, man. I really would. Robert, would tar and feathering be considered cruel and unusual? Oh my God.
Depends on it has to be proportional to the crime.
Every single Republican who voted for the NDAA needs to be tried for treason. I mean, I don't know how else it could be treated. I mean, it's got to be a treasonous act. I don't know how you put that into the law. I'm just saying, like, what they're doing to me is just bald-faced treason, Robert. And they're saying, like I just said,
it's also politically just incompetent. That they're assuming there'll be no blowback because that these criticisms in the past have been temporary and then faded out. And I think they're going to discover otherwise.
My biggest criticism of Robert and Rich is that you both should have more babies and kids. Got to spread that intelligence to the world. I don't think Laura would mind. I'm getting too old for the kids, never too old for the act. Okay. I would have 1 million babies, Robert, if I felt up to it and I had more money. So if it was like Elon, I would definitely be like Elon, I wouldn't do it with different women. I would just have a bunch of kids, and I'd probably adopt a lot. Not probably. Laura and I do have a dream where we want to adopt a bunch of kids, but I hope I achieve it soon financially, because I'm at a point where I might be getting too old for it soon. No, Mike Lindell is never going to be critical of Israel or AIPAC, and I love Mike, and I hope he cleaned up his mistake. It was a clear mistake, but he didn't mean it. But he didn't mean, like, people just put it up on the website without him, understanding or knowing what they were going to put up. I think he's going to be all right. We'll see what happens. But I know some people are super mad at him. Talk about cut off your nose to spite your face, though. I mean, to support town hall neocon, the Speaker of the House, Amy, to support her because Mike Lindell didn't say something correctly is a total op. And if you can't see it, I don't know how you can't see it. Like if you, so you're going to get mad at Mike Lindell for saying something wrong, even though Mike Lindell is going to work with his friend, the president, to remove people. But so you're mad at him saying something wrong. So you think what? The House Speaker, who's a career politician and presided over the fraud and hasn't done a thing her entire career in life about illegal immigration, is going to somehow be better. And oh, by the way, if your argument is Mike Lindell is down by 20 points, like I keep seeing that town hall shill make, they're all down 20 points, dummy. I can show you right now. You want to see how she's doing? I'm polling it almost every day. Actually, I will bring it up as Robert's answering another question. She's getting her ass kicked. The only difference is that maybe Mike Lindell will bring out some people that were other Republicans, typical Republicans, cannot bring out. And he also has a better, what's the word, Robert? Like he's got a better argument. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, at least he's something different. I mean, they're likely to get crushed either way, given the current electoral dynamic. So why not, do something that can bring in new people, might increase turnout for state house and state Senate races and local races, something different, because the same old gets you crushed, but without any upside.
They haven't won a statewide race since Tim Pawlenty in 2006. The closest person outside of Norm Coleman, who got robbed, but who was an idiot anyway, he was an incumbent. The closest person to get close to being to winning a statewide race in Minnesota since 2006 is, guess who? Drum roll. Another person they said was unelectable, Donald John Trump. And who was the only pollster in 2016, Robert, who had the race close when everybody else did not? The Star Tribune was Clinton plus 10. Survey USA was Clinton plus 8, I believe. Who was the one pollster again who had it right? That's right. It was me, ladies and gentlemen. It was only Clinton plus 2. And I polled it once in September and got it to Bannon through somebody else. And that's why they made that one stop. But I did think that they should have fought for that seat, man. I do. I mean, fought for those electoral votes. But they were thinking, oh, we got to listen to the public polling, and Ohio's close. And it wasn't. It was never close. All right. And let's see. Thank you, Eagle, for the 400 joules. Again, I have no idea what these things do, but I just turned them on and I'm down with it. Trump will come out in favor of puppy kicking. Jesus, brother. And here, I'll put it on the big screen so everybody can see. Here's how Lisa DeMuth is doing against Amy Klobuchar right now in Minnesota. 53.6 to 34.5. And it's not, honestly, I can't show everything because I'll get yelled at, rightfully so. But the fact of the matter is, guys, they're all in a lot of trouble because we did Kendall Qualls, however you say the name. Actually, I think I can pull that one up too, but I'll just say it. 54 to 31, Kendall. So at least Lindell is like, I can't show it because I'll get mad. I will say this, because of the likely voter model, he will get more working class people to vote. And right. Amy Klobuchar is a titan of a candidate in the state of Minnesota for governor. All right. It will be very hard. You'll have to drive her unfavorables up to the moon and really do something totally different. Like Robert said, at least Mike is different. It's a chance at something different. I am telling you right now, 100% Lisa DeMuth will lose by 20 points.
Well, I feel like, is it Poe? I think I always blame Vo or Poe. I forget how you.
Yeah, Poe.
Yeah,
that's who.
He was running. He had APAC Amy, and some good.
Which is
be
why
creative.
He's in second place, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And so that'd be fun. So do stuff like that. Incorporate some meme stuff. Find some vulnerabilities. She is APAC Amy. That's a problem in the Twin Cities.
Yes.
So that there are some creative ways to go at it. But the normie campaign gets you crushed no matter what. So be creative, be inventive, get some new ideas out there into the court of public opinion, get out some voters that otherwise would stay home. That's the savvier path in a race that's an extreme long shot from the get-go.
Yeah, there was some polls that had Angie Craig and Peggy Flanagan for Senate close or tied or something. Dude, we got Angie Craig 10 points ahead. Peggy Flanagan is down. But Flanagan would make a tighter race for Senate, but it's tough. It's funny. Yeah, Poe is in second. I don't think anyone would mind if I said this, but this is the second time now too. Poe's been in second place, and it's because he's specifically speaking to the anti-APAC base in the Democratic Party, and I think it's huge. Amy is just going to be so hard to beat because she just is. Chances that Trump bombs Pickaxe Mountain on Epidus to exit. Would he do something like that, like a Nixon?
Well, I know he's
like,
considering it, but
I
mean, it would be kind. I mean, it would be a possible exit strategy is to bomb it and pretend we did something with it when we really didn't. Given the nature of that mountain, we're not going to affect much. And then hoping that Iran. What Iran was saying was, you hit our nuclear facilities, we hit the nuclear facilities in the UAE and Israel. So the reciprocation is not worth what would be mostly a symbolic attack anyway.
I mean, I get the Nixon kind of Christmas Day bombing things, like we're going to pound you and then we're out. I get that.
And just ask Nixon how all that worked.
Yeah,
bombing and bombing and bombing, you end up having to just give up on Vietnam.
Yeah.
And that's why Saigon fell, and he was willing to take the hit of knowing Saigon was going to fall, knowing that it was only a matter of time, and did it rather than continue to stay stuck in that idiotic war, because his first 4 years had not changed the equation at all.
Yeah. Jonathan says, if JD doesn't win, I'm going to crash my mother's truck into the garage out of spite. Dude, that's funny. I get it though. I mean, and that's a sad thing. That's a sad thing about all of this.
Well, I mean, JD's best chance would be if we don't, if at least, 2028, if he could start to reverse course this week, could put JD in a position where he could be competitive in 2028. If he escalates and drags us back in, then it's not only 2026 he endangers, but 2028 he endangers.
A lot of my age group were passively Republican. We just weren't Democrats. Trump made politics popular. And now that I'm paying attention, the Republicans are a joke. They have held a majority in Congress multiple times and can't pass their signature legislation. I'm overplaying their games. I mean, that's a prevalent view. That's a problem. This is the best case for Vance at this point for Trump to get impeached and removed quickly. So he has about a year and a half to show that he's different. Yeah, it is. I hate to say it.
That's his reality.
I'm gonna pop that Loomer meme up. Yeah, we got this guy who watches the show, USA Memes. And
he's great. Yeah, he makes great
amazing,
memes.
Dude. He's amazing. Look at this. I stand when I urinate. Oh my god, dude. This guy, I mean, listen,
what a fraud she obviously was, and now people are seeing how blatant and apparent it is.
I had her on my show too, and she had the audacity to attack me, saying I'm jealous of Tony Fabrizio. It was when Alex tried to attack me. It fell totally flat. If you look at the replies, he just got butchered in his own replies, and then she tries to jump in and piggyback to be Alex's friend. And instead of them ganging up on me, they start attacking each other. It just shows what a bunch of clowns they are. And it's, first of all, to be jealous of Tony would be hilarious. Donald Trump didn't even pay Tony Fabrizio in 2016 because every poll he did for him in the battleground states was wrong. He later got into his good graces. Actually was just looking at it, Robert. My record is as follows. The RCP average in Colorado was Clinton 2+9. I was Clinton 4.9. She won by 5. Florida, the RCP average was Trump 0.2. I was 1.2. He won by 1.4. In Iowa, it was Trump 3. Mine was Trump 9.5. He won by 8.5, I believe. Michigan was Clinton 3.4. Mine was Trump 0.06. He won by 0.2. New Hampshire, I did have Trump up in New Hampshire. He lost, but I had him up by 1. It was Clinton 0.6 on the RCP average, and it ended up Clinton 0.3. That's the only state where it beat me. North Carolina, Trump +1. Mine was Trump 3.7. Guess what he won by? Almost exactly. Ohio, Trump 3.5. The final margin was 8.1. I did understate Trump in Ohio. Trump 0.7. Guess what he won, boy? And I nailed it, like literally nailed it. 48.4 to 47.8. Virginia is another one. Oh, no. Mine was Clinton 5.4. She won by 5.4. Wisconsin was Trump 0.7. He won by 0.3. So I'll take that over all of the dirty money that I didn't make, being Tony Fabrizio, and I'm okay with that. I know it doesn't get you a third home outside of one of the gayest cities in the planet, but I'll take it. I mean, it's it. So it's just ridiculous. Like, this is what she's become, though. This is what she's become, Robert. All she cares about is money. And it's like, guys, I don't think it would be great to put a multi-diagnosed person as your front runner and at the helm on policy. I got to tell you, you better all get all your money from unregistered lobbyists and as a foreign agent while you still can, because I don't know what Democrats are going to do to you, but it's not going to be good. And you guys are not getting pardons. I don't know what makes you think Trump's going to pardon you, but he's not. Like, he may pardon Mike, but he ain't pardoning Will.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't know what you guys
just
think.
how pitiful Ukraine's position is that they have to go all the way down to Laura Loomer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Nobody serious would.
You're propagandizing your cause, and your Loomer is the best you can do. I guess the USAID money for the for Sean Penn and all those, Ben Stiller and U2 to show up obviously ran out. They've done as much grift as they can, but Zelensky will be here begging Trump to get more further involved in that foolish war too, or to try to merge it with the Iran war, which would be a disaster. Yep. So it's another landmine he's got to avoid this week.
I mean, there are so many locals tips, Robert. I'm gonna have to finish this in the road rage. Like, we'd be on here for another half hour. I will just end it with Ginger, though, who's hilarious. I'll see you this weekend, Ginger. I don't know if I could say this out loud. Let me just say, look. Full disclosure, this is a comment I am reading. He said they should hold off on Lady Lindsay's funeral and hold it at Mar-a-Lago. L'chaim. L'chaim. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro, you guys are so funny. I am celebrating the death of political correctness. Isn't it funny how after years and years of political correctness, Robert, from the left, right, and the right's culture trying to counter it, it is the Israel first right that is holding political correctness in our culture. It's the Ben Shapiros and the Mark Levins and all of the rest of them. They are the champions. They wouldn't stand up for Alex Jones when he was deplatformed, but they're the champions of political correctness because it offends them, It hurts little feelings, right? I mean, it goes to show you they're not right-wing, guys. They don't belong in the right-wing coalition. They belong in the left-wing coalition because that is where their ideology was born. So why on earth would you ever sacrifice the most impressive and what it would have been the fastest growing right-wing coalition in modern political history for the past? A bunch of leftists pretending to be right-wingers, and they are leftists. Robert, you remember what Ben Shapiro said when Alex was thrown off of X? He thought that it was all right because it was Alex Jones. And Candace's excuse, bro, thank God you brought that up, because I don't know if you saw me in the comment section. I was itching for it. She's so full of shit. She wasn't new to the movement. She was just a scared little bitch like everyone else at Daily Wire. They're cowards who didn't say anything in to stand up for Alex, and she was too busy marrying billionaire foreigners, bro. That's what she was doing. Everything was fine for her, so she didn't care. She's so full of shit. Candace is a total con. I really feel bad for people who think she's legitimate.
I know.
But
yeah, hopefully the president makes the wise decision and doesn't increase the risk of catastrophe. But we'll see this week. We'll find out this week one way or the other. His Fed boy may disappoint him. He's supposed to be cutting rates this week. Watch him not cut rates this week. But otherwise, we'll be back not next week, but later on in August. To give further breakdowns. I have a breakdown of all the House and Senate election picks against the prediction markets up at Sports Picks.
Oh, yeah.
.locals.com. Otherwise, we'll see folks at the conference this weekend in Chattanooga, Tennessee at 1776 Law Center. There may be a ticket or two left, so 1776lawcenter.com. If you want to get one, there's always one or two people that cancel, and that opens up a ticket or two. Yep. But otherwise, see folks there, and otherwise we'll be back in August.
Yeah, brother. Thanks for joining as always. Thanks everybody who gave the super chats and everything. Don't forget to go follow Robert at sportspicks.locals.com. You can follow me on locals at peoplespundit.locals.com. We will see you in Chattanooga. This is going to be a barn burner. I'm looking forward to this one. And my toe is not broken this year. Yeah, I did the event with 9 toes and probably 1 in 3 pieces. It was horrible. But I did it. And this time I can actually just enjoy myself and have fun with everybody, which I hope I did. I think I pretty much can. I don't think anyone who met me there last year knew I was dealing with that. I sucked it up and went through it, but this time there's also a lot more people coming, which is great. It's packed house. He is right though. Keep checking because there always is somebody who can't come, so it opens up a ticket. So if you want to try to get one last minute, don't give up. All right, it'll be fun. It's going to be one for the ages. What else? Oh yeah, of course, all the links are in the description. Pre-order Burn It Down if you haven't already. I am working, Cynic, you're here, I'm working on the audiobook now. I don't know how long it's going to take me. I'm going to try to crank it out as much as I can considering how much traveling I'm doing. But yeah, pre-ordering from Amazon, guys, is enormously helpful. The book was doing amazing when it was first released pre-order, a lot better than I ever expected it to, and I'm really just honored by it. I would really like to try to keep this going. Also, what else? Instagram and TikTok. Don't forget. All right. Peoples.pundit on TikTok, at peoples_pundit on Instagram. I just got yelled at by Instagram. They're like, you almost crossed the threshold. Why did you stop posting? Well, it's hard when you're traveling, but you will notice that I do take pictures of like location shots and I throw them up on Instagram. I'm going to do that more often too. Other than that, I think that's it. Public polling project link is in the description below. We're going to probably wrap up interviews tonight. I don't expect the results to change all that much from what we showed you earlier. So keep an eye out. I'm going to wrap that up so RCP and DDHQ and all the rest of the aggregators can get it early. We do it like the last day of the month or even the first day of the next month for that benchmark in the prior month. We'll have it out maybe Wednesday, the latest. I'm probably going to try to get it out tomorrow. This way I can get myself together and get ready to go with that time. Locals, we'll go over the rest of your comments because as you can see, there's still quite a lot of them. We'll do a road rage. We'll go over them. I'm going to leave you guys with this. This is one of the most disturbing clips I saw all week. And then I'm going to roll right into the music after this. But before I do, thank you to everybody who did give tips, who did give super chats, who do like and do subscribe and do follow. That support, and we always appreciate it. Don't forget, if you like the videos, to like and follow. All right. And we will see you guys. Tomorrow. Either way, but inside the numbers, we'll do Wednesday, and we'll go over the poll in detail. It's a kind of big poll, so we won't get it all done, but we'll do as much as we can. All right, I'll leave you with this clip that was unearthed, and people were mad at Robert at what he said about Lindsey Graham. I want you to review that because I totally agreed. I want you to review this again, and then just remember how it looks when Donald Trump gets choked up over Lindsey Graham dying and doesn't appear to be choked up over Charlie getting murdered at all. Have a good night.
They have has been knocked out now. Their missile count is going way down. Amazingly, they're hitting countries.
Look what we've done here.
I know.
I almost cried.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how long have we been pushing this?
Well, I mean, you've been pushing this for years, right?
Right. It's here. I talked to Trump this morning.
It's literally.
Oh, he's jacked.
Yeah.
It's the best thing I've ever done. He loves blowing stuff up. So, there are a lot of people inside didn't want to do it. So I've had my challenges. But President Trump, when he gets into the zone, he listens, he asks good questions, no tweeting. He hadn't tweeted much at all, no drama. He's been a great wartime president. I said last night that Trump and Bibi are like Roosevelt and Churchill. I mean, they're the right two guys to confront this evil.
And it's been an effing disaster. Have a good night, guys.